Chapter 490. This is a new move that I've developed. Both of you can come at me together. Don't say that I'm bullying you. Thanos held two-dimensional blades in his hands, his face full of smiles. To be honest, this move was very cool, but it consumed a lot of soul power. Even Lin Feng could only last for half an hour at most, so he needed to end the battle quickly. As his voice fell, he didn't hesitate and directly attacked. The two blades crossed and then slashed forward fiercely. Go! The 6 wings on Thousand Dao Lu's back flap. While dodging the attack, she stabbed out with her sword. The tip of the sword overflowed with a cold light, and there was a holy light circulating. It was obvious that Thousand Dao Lu had used a lot of soul power in this attack. Bibi Dong also didn't hesitate. She waved the Rakshasa scimitar in her hand and slashed at Thanos from the side. These two-dimensional blades were extremely frightening, but Bibi Dong could tell that these things weren't fast, so she and the 1,000 streams were able to dodge them. Moreover, they were holding divine artifacts in their hands, and they were supported by divine power, so they weren't afraid of them rotting. As long as they were careful, they could definitely kill Thanos together. With this thought, the 3 of them instantly fought together, and it was even more intense than before. The huge soul power fluctuations overflowed, distorting the surrounding space. The elders of the martial spirit hall saw this, and no one dared to step forward. After all, the aftermath was too terrifying. They would probably be seriously injured as soon as they went up, so it was better to just watch. Even Yu Guan and Gue Mei, who had reached rank 95, were very shocked when they saw this scene. Yu Guan lamented, "Old ghost, 4 years ago, the 2 of us seemed to have fought with this Thanos. I didn't expect that in just 4 years we are still like this, and he has become so strong." Yes. Gue Mei continued, "Back then, the 2 of us used a martial soul fusion skill and could still suppress him. But now we probably don't even have the chance to use a martial soul fusion skill. Thanos's speed was too fast. He could fight against 2 people alone, and he could still dodge and block easily. If Gue and Chrysanthemum were to meet, they would probably be killed in a single move. Not only Thanos, but also Thousand Tao Flo and Bibi Dong. The strength of these 2 people also shocked everyone. They never thought that they would be so strong. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 minutes passed. Suddenly, Thanos shouted, "You too, eat my dimensional slash." His voice was extremely loud. The 2-dimensional sabers merged together and slashed forward. Seeing this, Bibi Dong and Qian Dao Lu thought that he was going to use some kind of ultimate move. Because they were afraid that they would not be able to block it, they quickly retreated and dodged the attack. However, the moment the 2 sabers merged, Thanos suddenly turned around and ran into the distance. "I've had a good time today. I'm leaving now. See you next time." Thanos's voice drifted into everyone's ears after they had run far away. 1,000 streams. Bibi Dong was speechless. Everyone was speechless. They never thought that an expert like Thanos would do such a thing. It was too shameless. However, there was nothing they could do about it other than feel helpless. At this moment, Thanos had already returned to his identity as Lin Feng and arrived at a forest near Martial Spirit City. He did not feel the slightest bit ashamed of running away just now. It was normal to run when you couldn't win. The consumption of soul power from the dimensional saber exceeded Lin Feng's expectations. In 10 minutes, half of his soul power had been consumed. Therefore, for safety reasons, Lin Feng did not choose to continue fighting. Instead, he chose to leave. Furthermore, he also realized that Bibi Dong's improvement could only be described as terrifying. The speed at which his strength increased was truly shocking. Thousand Tao Flo had also improved quite a bit. At the very least, after familiarizing himself with his moves, it would be extremely difficult for Lin Feng to injure him again. Therefore, in this battle, it was already very good that he could barely tie with the 2 of them. The main reason was that their weapons were too powerful. That thing was definitely a divine artifact. If it weren't for the spatial crack to block it, he would have been seriously injured if he was scratched. However, today's situation was still quite good. Fighting with two experts at the same time gave him quite a lot of experience points. Thinking about it, Lin Feng glanced at the system notification that had appeared earlier. Ding! After an intense battle, the host has become a well-matched opponent with 1000 Tao Flow and BB Dong. Combat experience has increased. Experience points plus 315164234. A little more than 300 million experience points was not bad. Furthermore, with his attack this time, the Martial Spirit Palace should not make any moves for a short period of time. Even if there were any movements, Lin Feng would not panic because he would install the signal adapter all the way to Sea God's Island. At that time, as long as BB Dong and the others made any movements, Dolual would call him to remind him. Under such circumstances, Lin Feng was no longer afraid of the Martial Spirit Palace. In his opinion, the Martial Spirit City was now stubbornly resisting. In any case, they couldn't do anything. It wouldn't be long before he would be able to obtain his 3rd or even 4th million-year soul ring. At that time, his strength would be enough to defeat the combined forces of BB Dong and 1000 Tao Flow. Thinking of this, Lin Feng didn't stay any longer and quickly rushed to Heavendo City. At the same time, in the study of the Pontiff's Palace in Martial Spirit City, BB Dong was meditating with her eyes closed. While recovering her soul power, she was also carefully comprehending the details of the battle just now. She had done this before, so her strength had increased rapidly. BB Dong had a premonition that it wouldn't be long before she could break through to rank 100. In fact, in the original Dolua's world, if it weren't for Tang San's appearance, BB Dong would have been the child of destiny. She had twin martial souls and solved the problem of the upper limit of her soul rings. She was also very smart and her strength had increased so quickly. Her comprehension was also very strong. All of this was enough to support BB Dong to unify the Dolua's world and ascend to the God realm. Therefore, it was very normal for her to improve so quickly. Half a day later, when the sky darkened, Lin Feng recovered and found Tang San and the others. Feng Gu, I've arranged everything in the Soul Master Alliance. We can go to Sea God's Island now. Dai Mubai also said, I have no problems on my side. I went back to the Star Luo Empire before, and everything was settled. If these two had no problems, the others had no problems either. They all said that they wanted to go to Sea God's Island. After all, Sea God's Island was too magical. In 3 months, everyone's strength had increased so much. There was no other place in the entire Dolua's world. Right, Xue Qinghe would also go with them. His sixth sense told him that there would be benefits if he went with Lin Feng and the others. Now, it seemed that it was true. The Sea God's Island was simply too powerful. The increase in strength was beyond his imagination. Very well, since we are all ready, let's go. It was unknown when Thanos had appeared beside everyone. Everyone greeted him when they saw him. Taking advantage of this time, Slayer Overlord had already taken out the previous ship. There was no need for him to say anything. Everyone stood on it. After that, Thanos opened his wings and flapped them with force. He quickly brought everyone to Sea God's Island. Of course, on the way, Lin Feng had to land on the ground from time to set up the signal switch. Just like that, the group flew and stopped. After 2 hours, they arrived at Oceanic City. After they arrived, Lin Feng didn't continue to dawdle. He sent everyone to Sea God's Island. Alright, you guys go ahead. I'll set up the signal switch with Mr. Destroy, Lin Feng said. Okay. Everyone nodded in agreement. Then, they rushed in the direction of the forbidden area. On the other hand, Lin Feng looked at the distribution of islands between Oceanic City and Sea God's Island when he flew over earlier. In the end, he found that if it was a straight line, there was no way to set up a signal channel. He could only take a detour. Thinking of this, Lin Feng started searching the nearby sea areas that were not far away. His goal was to find a way to communicate with the others. This search lasted for more than 2 hours, and it was almost dawn. Fortunately, Lin Feng was lucky and finally found a route. After spending half an hour, he set up all the lines and tested the phone before returning to Sea God's Island. At this time, the sun had just risen from the horizon. Lin Feng took advantage of the sunlight and arrived at the forbidden area of Sea God's Island. Not only did he see Tang San and the rest, but he also saw Seahorse Dolo Oya and Sea God Doloa Poseidon. Feng Ge, you're here. The two seniors have been waiting for a while, Tang San said as he walked over. It's fine. It's my duty, Poseidon said with a smile. These two seniors were from the 9 tests of the sea god. She could wait for 1 or 2 years, let alone 1 or 2 hours. Head Reverend, are you here to inform us of the second test? Lin Feng asked. That's right. Poseidon nodded. The second test is simple. Do you see this ring-shaped sea? Hearing this, everyone immediately looked around. The ring-shaped sea that Poseidon was talking about was the circular sea that separated Sea God's Island from Sea God's Island. The ring-shaped sea was 200 meters wide. The sea was turbulent and there were many aquatic soul beasts in it. It was not easy to deal with. At this time, Poseidon continued, your test is to pass through this ring-shaped sea. Due to the different difficulty levels of the test, you will be subject to different restrictions. The 6th black test does not have any restrictions. You just have to pass it. The 7th top test will restrict you from using your strongest soul skill. You can only use other soul skills. As for the last 9 tests of the sea god, there are even more restrictions. You can only use your physical strength. Your martial soul, soul power, soul skills, and even the soul skills on your soul bones are all sealed. Under such circumstances, you have to break through the seal of Little White, which is a 100,000-year great white demon shark. At the mention of the great white demon shark, a 25-meter-long white shark broke through the surface of the ring-shaped sea. Its slender body was exposed under the sun. Everyone could see its condition. What a big shark! Ma Hongjun exclaimed. Ning Rongrong's focus was a little strange. She muttered, what white skin, I'm so envious. Bai Saishi continued, this is Little White. During the assessment, although it won't kill you, it will still try its best to stop you. You can choose to start the test today. Or you can play on the Sea God's Island for a few months. You can choose to take the test when the 1 year is up. Poseidon gave everyone 2 choices. One was to relax and the other was to work hard. Everyone had an answer in their hearts. They looked at each other and finally looked at Lin Feng. Obviously, everyone wanted Lin Feng to make the final decision. However, from these people's eyes, Lin Feng could only see fighting spirit. Thinking about it, he turned to Poseidon and smiled. We choose to start the test now. Then, I announced the start of the test. Poseidon's face was full of smiles. As soon as she finished speaking, light screens of different colors appeared on everyone except Shuechenhe. Black, red, and gold lights shone on the 8 of them. Soon, they turned into pillars of light that shot into the sky. 3 seconds later, the black light dissipated first. Dai Mubai, Oscar, and Ma Hongjun understood the test's information. It was just as Poseidon had said. Other than that, they did not feel anything different. Next, the red light dissipated. The red pillar of light above Ning Rongrong, Xiao Wu, and Zhu Zhuqing suddenly turned into a ball of light and flew towards their bodies. Then, the last soul rings of the 3 of them appeared naturally and were absorbed by the red light. In the next second, the 3 of them felt that their last soul skill had been sealed. They could not use it at all. At this time, the golden light above Lin Feng and Tang San's heads dissipated. Like Ning Rongrong and the rest, the golden light turned into a ball of light and attacked the 2 of them. First, it was Tang San. As the golden ball of light entered his body, his martial soul, soul skill, and soul power were all sealed. As for Lin Feng, he sensed the sealing power, but it wasn't very strong. It seemed like it could only seal those below level 99. This was child's play to him. With a shake of his soul power, the sealing force was blocked by him. Originally, Lin Feng thought that the test would be affected after he blocked the sealing. However, after a few seconds, everything returned to normal. There was no difference at all. It seemed like this test was not difficult for him at all. In fact, even if his entire body was sealed, this test was nothing to Lin Feng. He jumped more than 200 meters. This river could not stop him at all. If he had soul power, it would be even easier for him to pass. At this time, Poseidon smiled and said, "Very good. It seems like all of you have received the second test from the sea god. I'll take my leave first. I'll appear again after you pass the test." After speaking, Poseidon did not stay any longer. He left immediately. At the side, Doloa gestured to everyone to cheer them on. Then, he left too. Chapter 491. With the departure of Posidi and Doloa, the second test officially began. The group didn't rush towards the ring-shaped sea. After all, the difficulty of the first test had already set in. They felt that the second test wouldn't be easy either. The second test doesn't seem difficult. We just need to cross the 200-meter wide ring-shaped sea, Ningrongrong said. Xiaowu added, "That's right. The second test didn't say that we can't go together. As long as we cooperate well enough, we can all pass easily. Although that's true, this golden light curtain restricts us from flying. We can't even jump high. There's also 100,000-year soul beast in the sea." "It's not that simple," Oscar said with a frown. "The main problem was that the golden light was annoying. They couldn't fly over. Otherwise, the great white demon shark wouldn't be able to fly no matter how powerful it was." Hearing this, Ma Hongjun said, "I also think it's not that simple. We can't fly." Tang San was also frowning in deep thought. His soul power, soul skills, martial soul, and everything else had been sealed. It wouldn't be easy for him to pass through. Dai Mubai said directly, "I'll go over and test the strength of this 100,000-year soul beast. As long as it's not too strong, I'll be able to resist it. You guys can go over." Everyone's control of their soul power was very precise. Although they couldn't fly, they could walk on water. That was why Dai Mubai thought of the plan to stall the great white demon shark alone. However, at this moment, Lin Feng waved his hand and said, "No need. I'll send you guys over." Everyone was stunned. In their eyes, Lin Feng and Tang San were the same. Everything was sealed. They should have less than 10% of their strength left. So when they were thinking, everyone subconsciously ignored the two of them. "How? Feng Gu, your strength is restricted now. Don't try to be brave." Xiao Wu smiled and said, "Feng Gu, I'll take you and third brother with me later. I guarantee that you'll be able to reach the other side safely." Xiao Wu had always been protected by her two brothers. Now that she finally had the opportunity to protect Lin Feng and Tang San, she was very happy. "Don't think about it," Lin Feng said, "get ready. I'll throw you all over later. Xiao Wu will be the first." Throw it over. Feng Gu, are you kidding me?" Ma Hongjuan's jaw dropped. The others were also in disbelief. Even Tang San asked, "Feng Gu, can this work?" After all, almost 99% of Lin Feng's strength had been sealed. Under such circumstances, it would be too difficult for him to throw them 200 meters away. Because of the golden light curtain above them, their bodies could not fly too high, or they would be bounced back. In other words, Lin Feng needed to throw them horizontally to the other side. Under such circumstances, they could only be thrown over. Moreover, there was a 100,000-year-old great white demon soul shark in the sea. They had to be thrown out fast enough. Otherwise, there was a high chance that they would be intercepted. If it was Lin Feng who was not sealed, everyone felt that he would definitely be able to meet these requirements. But now that everything had been sealed, it was simply too difficult to succeed. "I don't know if it will work, but I can try," Lin Feng said with a smile. He was confident in his heart, but because it had not been successfully carried out, he could not say it out loud. Feng Go, can Fatty be the first? He has thick flesh. Even if he is hit, it won't hurt, Xiao Wu said quickly. Xiao Wu trusted Lin Feng's words unconditionally without the slightest hesitation. Ma Hongjun. Why was it me who was implicated for no reason? I don't want to be the first. I'm afraid of pain. Ma Hongjun resisted in his heart, but he did not dare to refute because if he did, Xiao Wu would let him know why the flowers were so red. Fortunately, Lin Feng said, Fatty will be the second. Xiao Wu, you have an invincible skill. You will be the first. Okay. Xiao Wu did not say much and nodded in agreement. At this moment, Lin Feng said, all of you come to my side. I will throw Xiao Wu out to attract attention later. I will throw the others over in 3 seconds. Xiao Wu, Feng Ji's words were too hurtful. Xiao Wu was a little sad, but she also knew that because of the invincible golden body, she was the most suitable bait. Now, her invincible golden body could last for about 12 seconds. The 3 seconds that Lin Feng said was too safe. After Lin Feng threw everyone out, she could run over by herself. Yes. Everyone nodded and came to Lin Feng's side. Seeing this, Lin Feng said to Xiao Wu, try your best to hold that shark back later. I will take you away in the end. Yes, I can definitely hold it back. Xiao Wu nodded fiercely. Lin Feng said, Xiao Ao, make all the grilled sausages and let everyone eat. Rongrong will also buff everyone. Half a minute later, all the preparations were done. Except for Oscar and Ning Rongrong, everyone else was in good condition. At this moment, Lin Feng said to Xiao Wu, very good. Activate your invincible golden body. Xiao Wu didn't talk nonsense. The soul power in her body vibrated, and she instantly activated her 4th soul skill. A layer of pure golden light screen appeared on the surface of her body. Lin Feng's eyes flashed with a golden light. In an instant, he saw Little White's position in the ring-shaped sea. It was 50 meters in front of them. In the next second, he grabbed Xiao Wu with his right hand, turned half a circle, and threw Xiao Wu directly towards the great white demon shark. Little White. At this moment, Little White was very confused. It saw a group of people standing by the shore and thought that they were going to cross the river together. It had already thought about how to repel this group of people later. Who knew that this group of people didn't play by the rules and directly threw their cards at its head. Although it was stunned, it didn't hesitate. It drilled out of the water and swung its tail, wanting to send Xiao Wu flying. At this moment, Lin Feng had already grabbed Ma Hongjun and threw him from the side. At the same time, Lin Feng also transmitted his voice to Ma Hongjun. Catch Xiao San after you go over. Okay. Following a quick reply, it flew far away. Ma Hongjun spun in the air. His hands turned into flame wings, and landed on the other side of the river with a relaxed expression. At this moment, Little White realized this. At the same time, it was extremely confident in its tail attack, but it actually missed. The moment the attack landed, Xiao Wu directly teleported and rode on Little White's body, entangling it tightly. Who was Little White? That was 100,000-year demon soul great white shark. Its strength was incomparably powerful. From its birth until now, other than sea god Poseidon, who else was qualified to ride it? But today it was actually ridden by a little girl. This was simply a great humiliation. Little White was furious. The soul power in its body surged out, controlling the surrounding water flow and pressing towards Xiao Wu. At this moment, Little White had long forgotten the warning not to kill. It wanted Xiao Wu, this fellow who offended it, to pay with her life. At this moment, Lin Feng had already thrown Tang San over, followed by Dai Mubai and Oscar. One by one, Lin Feng tossed them out easily, as if he was throwing water into the sea. One had to know that this was a distance of more than 200 meters. It was almost like throwing a person horizontally, and it only drew a slight arc. The power contained in Lin Feng's arm could only be described as terrifying. This group of people were soul masters, and their physiques were stronger. Otherwise, if they were thrown by Lin Feng like this, they would probably become a pile of meat paste in the air. Just as Lin Feng was playing Angry Bird by the river, the water flow summoned by Little White hit Xiao Wu in the sea. Facing the angry attack of 100,000-year soul beast, Xiao Wu didn't panic at all. Instead, she used even more strength to clamp Little White's body and entangle it. She grabbed onto Little White's dorsal fin with both hands. With the invincible golden body, she was already in an invincible position. It had to be said that Xiao Wu's entanglement was very successful. At this moment, Little White was blinded by anger. In its opinion, only the sea god could stand on its back. Right now, Xiao Wu was on its back, which was an insult. Just as the human and shark were entangled, Lin Feng's hands didn't stop. He threw Shuiqinghe, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Zhuqing out one by one. Finally, when everyone was thrown out by Lin Feng, he bent his body slightly and condensed his soul power on his feet. He bent his body, and then his feet suddenly exerted force. Boom! With a muffled sound, the hard ground where he was standing was instantly crushed, and a 3-meter-wide crater appeared. At this moment, Lin Feng's entire body was flying rapidly on the surface of the sea. Like a black shadow, he left behind countless afterimages as he arrived above Little White in an instant. He grabbed with his hand, and Xiao Wu didn't even have time to react before Lin Feng lifted her up. In the next second, Lin Feng landed on the grass on the opposite shore. In front of him, a group of people were looking at him in shock. If being thrown out was shocking enough, then Lin Feng's standing long jump shocked everyone to the point that they didn't know what to say. Lin Feng had jumped more than 200 meters and even pulled Xiao Wu over halfway. If not for the seal, wouldn't he have jumped into the sky? In fact, Tang San had seen Lin Feng's jumping ability a long time ago, but he didn't see it in full. Now that he saw it, the shock in his heart wasn't any less than the others. Just as everyone was shocked in the ring-shaped sea, Little White sensed Xiao Wu's departure. It instantly looked at Lin Feng and the others on the shore. Damn it! Damn it! That fellow actually ran away. I have to kill her. With that thought, Little White didn't care about the rules anymore and rushed directly towards Xiao Wu. At this moment, Little White was stepping on huge waves and pressing down on everyone. The scene was very impactful. Feng Go, that big shark, seems to be angry. Its eyes are so scary. After Xiao Wu saw it, she pulled Lin Feng's sleeve. Don't worry, nothing will happen. Lin Feng smiled. Lin Feng didn't make a move. He only summoned the golden light of the 9 trials of the sea god. In an instant, the golden light shone and turned into a barrier in front of everyone. As for the great white devil soul shark, when it hit the barrier, its entire body was sent flying. Feng Gu, this is? Everyone asked in surprise. They also had that kind of light on their bodies, but the color was different. They didn't expect it to be so useful. At the same time, they didn't know how to use the light, so they were a little curious. This shark is part of the 2nd trial. Now that we have all passed, this shark can't attack us. I'm just using the power of the rules. Lin Feng continued, however, using the rules requires a very strong control of soul power. You guys haven't reached that level yet. So that's how it is. Everyone was enlightened. At this moment, the great white demonic soul shark surfaced from the water and looked at Xiao Wu hatefully, but didn't attack again. I'll let you guys go this time. The next time we meet, I'll definitely teach you guys a lesson. After saying those words, the great white demonic soul shark instantly dived into the water and didn't come out again. This time, it suffered a big setback in the hands of everyone. Next time, it definitely wouldn't be played so easily. After the great white demonic shark left, a loud voice rang in everyone's ears. Congratulations, you have broken through the sea defense line of the 100,000-year soul beast, the great white demonic soul shark king. I announce that you have passed the second trial of the Sea God. You are rewarded with a 10% increase in Sea God affinity. This was the notification that Lin Feng and Tang San received. They were both rewarded with Sea God affinity and didn't have much use. This affinity was to better inherit the Sea God's deity position, and then it was something that contained a trace of the Sea God's power. In this regard, Lin Feng wouldn't let it fuse into his body. When the blue light lit up, he immediately activated his soul force to isolate this power. Then, he wrapped it up, just like the sealing power from before. At this moment, Tang San's body also lit up with blue light. Lin Feng stretched out his hand and placed it on his shoulder, pulling out the blue energy. Feng Go. What is this Sea God affinity? Tang San asked. A trace of the Sea God's power. After absorbing it, it will make it easier for you to inherit the Sea God's deity position. Lin Feng said. Tang San was very smart and quickly said, So in order to prevent me from being affected by the Sea God in the future, you helped me extract this power? That's right, this thing is not beneficial for you to establish your own deity position, so it has to be removed. Lin Feng nodded. At this moment, the rewards for the others who passed the test were also given out. Oscar, Dai Mubai, and Ma Hongjun received an increase in soul power and a 500-year increase in the age of all their soul rings. It had to be said that this reward was very generous, but the other three received even more generous rewards. For Zhu Zhuqing, Ning Rongrong, and Xiao Wu, although their reward was an increase in soul power by 1 level, the age of all their soul rings had increased by a full 1,000 years. This meant that all 3 of their soul rings were now over 1,000 years. Chapter 492. Haha, look at me. All of my soul rings are at least 1,000 years old. Xiao Wu shouted excitedly. She revealed all of her soul rings at this moment. 3 purples and 4 blacks appeared very dazzling. Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing also revealed their soul rings when they saw this. All of them were at least 1,000 years old. Dai Mubai and Ma Hongjuan's first 2 soul rings didn't change, because they only increased their soul rings by 500 years. However, Dai Mubai was also very happy. I'm at rank 70. Haha, I just need 1 more soul ring and I'll be a soul sage. Among everyone present, only Dai Mubai's soul power had reached the level where he could obtain a soul ring. Among the remaining people, Zhu Zhuqing was the closest. She was now at rank 69. She just needed 1 more rank to become a soul sage. Congratulations, Boss Dai. Ning Rongrong laughed. However, we're not far behind. The Sea God's test has helped us greatly. I think we'll all be able to increase a rank by the end of this year. Yes. This test is awesome. I'm already at rank 66. Ma Hongjun was also very happy. While everyone was happily chatting, Seahorse Doloa and Po Ziti were discussing how long it would take for Lin Feng and Tang San to pass the second test. Head Consecrator, I think they'll take more than 3 months to pass the second test. After all, Little White is a 100,000-year soul beast. He's very strong. Even I'm not his match. With him blocking them, they won't be able to pass the second test in a short time. Doloa said with certainty. This was because he had seen the strength of the great white demon shark. He knew how strong it was. Even if it didn't use its full strength, it would be enough to make them suffer. I don't think so. I feel that they'll take less than a month this time. Po Ziti was deep in thought. She could feel that Lin Feng was very strong. The main thing was that he was very mysterious. She couldn't even see through Mr. Destroy behind him. All of this made her have high expectations for Lin Feng. A month? That can't be. The Seahorse Doloa wore an incredulous look on his face as he said, Is there really someone who can pass a black level examination within a month? I took more than 5 years for the second test. The moment he finished speaking, he was stunned. Poseidon was the same. After being stunned for a moment, his face was filled with uncertainty. Did I sense it? They're done with the second test? At that moment, the chief examiner and the high priest both sensed that Lin Feng and the others had completed the second test. But how long had they left? Not even 5 minutes. How? Because they had completed the test in such a short time, the two of them wondered if they had sensed it wrongly. Since the establishment of the Sea God's Island, they had never seen anyone pass the black rank test in such a short time. The black rank test meant that one's life was in great danger. Normally, it would take a few years to pass it. But now, this group of people had passed it in just 5 minutes. This made the two of them very confused. They looked at each other. Then, without hesitation, they hurried over to where the group was. When they saw Lin Feng and the others chatting and laughing on the shore, the doubt in their hearts instantly turned into shock. Sure enough, this group of people had passed the second test. They had passed the black rank test in just 5 minutes as a team. This speed was unprecedented. You guys are beyond my expectations. Posidi stuttered. Her voice was full of disbelief. Doluo, who was beside her, was so shocked that he couldn't speak. Looking at these people, they had taken 3 months to pass the first test and only 5 minutes to pass the second test. Thinking about himself, he had taken a few years to pass the second test. While he was shocked, Doluo also felt a little guilty. This group of people was too strong. They were much stronger than him. Compared to them, he was a piece of trash. If they were from the same era, they would have inherited the divine throne by now. Head consecrator, Doluo, you guys came so quickly. The group turned around and saw the two of them. We didn't go far. After we sensed that you guys had passed the test, we came over. Posidi explained. Soon, she smiled and said, Congratulations on passing the second test. With this speed, you have set the fastest record in the history of the Sea God's Island. Despite his surprise, Poseidon was still a level 99 pinnacle powerhouse. He quickly calmed himself down. She continued, Just like before, the third test will be given out by me. You can choose to start the test today or play on the Sea God's Island for a year. When the year is up, you can choose to continue the test. Although Posidi knew that everyone would choose to continue the test, she still had to ask. Otherwise, she would be breaking the rules. Is there a need to choose? Of course we'll continue the test. Boss Dai is a soul sage. I'm only 4 ranks away. Of course I have to catch up. Ma Hongjun said loudly. The test had brought about a rapid increase in strength. It was like riding a rocket. It was very comfortable. Hence, everyone was addicted to the test. In order to increase their strength, they wanted to take the test as soon as possible. However, Posidi only glanced at Ma Hongjun. She didn't reply. Instead, she looked at Lin Feng and Tang San. She knew that these two were the ones in charge. As for the others, she could just ignore them. Let's continue. We have nothing to do anyway. Lin Feng said. The second test was like a game. There was no difficulty at all. Hence, everyone needed a real test. When Lin Feng spoke, no one objected. Clearly, they all agreed with Lin Feng's decision. Seeing this, Posidi smiled. Very well. Then I announce that the third test will begin. As soon as she finished speaking, light shone from everyone's bodies. At the same time, a screen appeared to show everyone the content of the test. However, before anyone could look at it, Posidi suddenly said to Dai Mubai, Dai Mubai, right? Congratulations on reaching level 70. This is your reward. With that, Poseidon flipped her hand, and a crystal-like golden bead appeared in her palm. This golden bead emitted a faint light. Golden mist rolled within it. It looked very mysterious. After the bead appeared, it floated up and came to Dai Mubai. Because this happened so suddenly, everyone's attention was drawn to it. Dai Mubai was stunned. He did not take it. Instead, he asked, What is this? Posidi smiled and explained, This is a soul ring bestowed by God. Anyone who comes to Sea God's Island and takes the black rank test or above will receive a soul ring the moment they reach the bottleneck of their soul power. This is a reward from the sea god. You can absorb it directly. It will give you a suitable soul skill according to your martial soul. As for the age of the soul ring, it is the maximum you can endure. In theory, if you persist long enough, you can even receive 100,000-year soul ring. 100,000-year soul ring. When they heard this, everyone's faces were filled with yearning. After all, it was the most powerful soul ring in the world of soul masters. As long as you could obtain one, your strength would increase tremendously. If you could directly use a soul ring to obtain a 100,000-year soul ring, it would be a huge gain. Seeing that everyone's eyes were shining, Pozidi continued, "This soul ring is not limitless. Everyone only has one chance. Make good use of it." Hearing this, Daimubai took the god-bestowed soul ring. Pozidi reminded him, "Before you absorb the soul ring, you'd better recover to your peak condition. Later, use your greatest willpower and physical strength to endure it. This way, the soul ring's age will be higher, and it will increase your strength the most." "I'll take note." Daimubai nodded. Right now, he wanted to recover quickly so that he could absorb the soul ring. "When you're done, I'll take you to the place where the third test will be held," Pozidi said. "Okay." After agreeing, Daimubai prepared to sit cross-legged and meditate. However, at this moment, Lin Feng walked over and said, "Keep it. You're only a soul sage now. It's a waste to use this soul ring. Wait until you reach rank 90 before using it." This god-bestowed soul ring was imprinted with Daimubai's soul power, which meant that only he could use it. No one else could use it. Otherwise, Lin Feng would have thought of a way to get it. But if he doesn't use it now, he won't be able to become a soul sage in a short period of time. Seahorse Dolua said, "You're all terrestrial soul masters. The soul rings of aquatic soul beasts conflict with yours. Furthermore, they're not suitable for you. If you want to find a suitable soul ring, you'll have to return to the continent. If we take into account the time needed to find a suitable soul beast, it'll probably take at least a month. Now that the third test has begun, the difficulty of the test will increase greatly if we delay it for another month. It won't take that long. A week is enough. Don't worry about it." Lin Feng laughed. He was being conservative when he said a week. This was because he felt that 5 days was enough. 1 day would be used to travel, and the other 4 days would be used to hunt. If they were lucky, they might be able to return in 2 days. They wouldn't delay the test at all. "A week?" Seahorse Dolua furrowed his brows. "Are you going to find him a random soul ring?" He knew about Thanos. It was very easy for him to travel from Sea God's Island to the continent's forest and back in a day. However, it was very time-consuming to find a suitable soul beast. Seahorse Dolua had spent more than 2 months looking for his 9th soul ring. He was lucky enough to succeed in hunting it. This was why he set a month's time limit. However, Lin Feng said that he only needed a week's time. He felt that Lin Feng was just giving him a random soul ring. "Oh yeah. Don't talk too much," Pozidi scolded. No matter what choice Lin Feng made, they shouldn't talk too much. Hence, Seahorse Dolua was scolded for talking too much. At this moment, Daimubai was deep in thought. After all, if he couldn't complete the black rank test, he would lose his life. Hence, it was better to be cautious. He asked, "Great Consecrator, can you tell us what the third test is about?" "The message I received was tidal tempering. Follow me." Pozidi turned around and flew in the opposite direction of the island within the island. Lin Feng shouted at Tang San, "Bring them along." As soon as he finished speaking, a blue-silver grass appeared in Tang San's hand and transformed into a small boat. He loaded everyone onto the boat and then jumped onto it himself. Tang San then built an arch bridge on both sides of the boat. It extended upwards until it looked like an oversized fruit basket. At this moment, Lin Feng grabbed the handle at the top and chased after Poseidon. Half an hour later, they arrived at the peak of a mountain that was hundreds of meters tall. The mountain peak was bare and completely made of pitch-black rock. When they reached the top of the mountain, they saw a U-shaped valley facing the sea. The valley was hundreds of meters deep and was filled with hard black rock. Wave after wave of waves crashed against the walls of the valley, making loud crashing sounds that shook people's hearts. This is where you will be taking the third test. It's called the Raging Waves Impasse. It's one of the wonders of the sea god's island. Even 100,000-year sea spirit beasts don't want to come here because the impact is too strong. Even they would feel uncomfortable. Then what's the specific content of our test? Tang-san asked. Positi didn't say anything. She suddenly rose into the sky and pushed her hands forward. In the next second, all her soul rings appeared. 8 black and 1 red. It was shocking. At the same time, a huge humanoid shadow appeared behind her. It followed Positi's gesture and pushed forward. In the next moment, the raging waves in the valley calmed down. Lin Feng knew that the shadow just now was the sea god. Positi's martial soul was the sea god. This martial soul was really strange. While Lin Feng was thinking about this, 9 gray pillars appeared on the calm surface of the valley. Xueqinghe didn't need to take the test, but Positi had prepared one for him because of Lin Feng and Tang San. At this moment, Positi's voice sounded, "Your test is to stay on the pillars for a certain amount of time. The black rank 6 test takers 4 hours a day, the top rank 7 test takers 5 hours a day, and the 2 sea god 9 test takers 12 hours a day. The duration of the test is 1 year. In the first half of the year, you have a period of adaptation. You don't have to stay so long, but after half a year, your average time will be this long. If the total time is less than the stipulated time, you will fail the test." Chapter 493. The Sea God's test didn't have a fixed standard. After all, it wasn't a fixed computer program. It could be manipulated. For example, Positi said that they only needed to achieve an average duration. Furthermore, they could slack off for the first half of the year. At most, they could make up for it later. Furthermore, even these were not fixed. In the original novel, Tang San would complete the test early if he broke through too much. Hence, the sea god's test could be manipulated. At this moment, Ma Hongjun laughed and said, "I thought the third test would be difficult. It seems like it's not much different from the first test. Because everyone had great control over their soul power, they were very good at taking tests like this. This pillar wasn't much different from the sea god's light. They both stimulated their potential under pressure. With the experience of the sea god's light, they weren't too nervous about the third test." Positi said, "The first test didn't have any restrictions on you. It wasn't very dangerous either. However, the third test will restrict all of your auxiliary-type soul skills. Furthermore, the waves are very turbulent. If you're hit consecutively, your life will be in danger." Positi wasn't exaggerating. The waves were very powerful. If they were hit consecutively, their lives would be in danger. Because of the dangerous environment, I'll be standing by your side when you're taking the test. If you can't take it, just shout. I'll bring you out. After hearing Positi's words, everyone became serious. They didn't underestimate the test anymore. Furthermore, they could feel that their auxiliary-type soul skills were restricted. However, Lin Feng wasn't affected by this restriction, because he once again blocked the seal's power outside of his body. Soon, he said to Dai Mubai, "This test isn't very difficult. You can go to the continent to hunt for a soul ring first." After that, Lin Feng looked at Tang San and the rest. "As for you guys, you can experience it here for a few days. We'll be back soon." "Feng Gu, you're going too?" Everyone felt that it was enough for Thanos to bring Dai Mubai along. If Lin Feng went, it would be a bit redundant. Lin Feng quickly found an excuse and said with a smile, "I have something to do when I go back, so let's go together this time." Hearing this, no one asked any further questions. Obviously, they agreed with Lin Feng. Dai Mubai also nodded, indicating that he agreed with this plan. Seeing this, Poseidon said, "Dai Mubai, since you have made such a decision, I will not stop you. I hope you can withstand the next test. I will. Dai Mubai nodded. Let's go. Mr. Destroy is waiting for us, Lin Feng said with a smile. Just like that, Lin Feng quickly left with Dai Mubai. In the same place, Tang San said, Senior High Priest, let's start now. Sorry to trouble you. After Lin Feng left, Tang San became the leader of the group. Okay, I'll send you down. As soon as she finished speaking, Poseidon's body emitted a dazzling blue light. The blue light quickly drilled into the bodies of the 7 people. They felt that their bodies were as light as a feather as they flew toward the 7 pillars below. This pillar was called the heavy silver pillar. It was a powerful material for refining weapons. Moreover, it was several times heavier than gold. It was also very dense. This pillar was estimated to weigh hundreds of thousands of pounds. At this time, the 7 people quickly flew to the top of the heavy silver pillar. The gray pillar instantly emitted a blue light. In the next second, 5 heavy silver rings appeared on the pillar, locking everyone to the pillar. Now, the test begins. As soon as Poseidon finished speaking, the blue light in her hand began to dissipate. The calm sea suddenly surged, and huge waves that were dozens of meters high began to crash toward the group. At this moment, the group felt an inexplicable pressure in their hearts. The pressure was not strong, but it made everyone nervous. After all, this was the 3rd test. According to Poseidon, it was much more difficult than the first test. They were still a little nervous. But soon, when the waves hit them, their eyes were filled with surprise. At first, they thought that the impact of the waves would be very terrifying and make them feel a lot of pressure. However, after coming into contact with the waves, the reality was the opposite. The waves were too weak. They could not even feel it at all. However, the crowd soon discovered that this kind of huge wave did not stop for a moment. Instead, it was continuous, one wave after another. Moreover, the pressure of the waves would slowly increase. Perhaps 100 or 200 times would not be a problem. 1,000 or 2,000 times would be okay. However, tens of thousands of times, hundreds of thousands of times, millions of times, at that time, the pressure would cause everyone to feel despair. However, due to the different positions of the pillars, the pressure on each pillar was different. The closer to the front, the stronger the impact, and the weaker the impact at the back. Now, Tang San was at the front, Xiao Wu was second, Xue Qinghe was third, and Zhu Zhuqing. Anyway, according to their results in the Neptune's light, everyone was ranked here. In the beginning, everyone thought that the 3rd test was very easy. But after an hour, the impact they faced was very strong. It was not inferior to the Neptune's light at the 100th level. Most importantly, everyone realized that when they were under pressure in the Neptune's light, the pressure came from one direction. The impact from the waves was wrapped around them, and the pressure was not very uniform. It came from left and right, and it was very troublesome. Even though he had a strong control over his soul power, he still felt extremely pressured under such circumstances. As time passed, they gradually could not hold on. After 1.5 hours, Ning Rongrong, who was the weakest, could not hold on and was brought out by Poseidon. After 5 minutes, Oscar came out. After 2 hours, Ma Hongjun came out. After 2.5 hours, Xue Qinghe came out. After 3.5 hours, Xiao Wu came out. As for Tang San, he lasted for 6.5 hours before coming out. Poseidon was so shocked that he didn't know what to say about this ridiculous result. Especially Tang San. It was his first time participating in the test, and he actually lasted for 6.5 hours. It was too shocking. Even Poseidon herself had only been able to do it for a little more than 3 hours, about the same as Xiao Wu. Back then, her strength was comparable to Dolua's, and the strongest person in front of her was only a soul sage. Therefore, Poseidon was very shocked. She guessed that if Lin Feng was here, his performance would be even more amazing. While Poseidon was thinking about this, Lin Feng used Thanos' identity to bring the two of them to the forest in the north. After that, Lin Feng found an excuse to leave, and only Thanos accompanied Dai Mubai to search for soul beasts in the forest. On the surface, it seemed like only the two of them were searching, but in reality, Lin Feng had sent out almost 100 clones to search for suitable soul beasts in the forest. In less than an hour, Lin Feng found a suitable soul beast for Dai Mubai. Of course, Thanos could not say it out loud. He rushed over and coincidentally found this soul beast. In just one day, Dai Mubai successfully obtained his 7th soul ring. This was a 60,000-year multicolored tiger. Whether it was the type of soul beast or the age of its soul ring, it was very suitable for Dai Mubai. However, the older the soul ring, the longer it would take to absorb it. By the time Dai Mubai finished absorbing the soul ring, it was already morning. Just like that, Thanos brought Dai Mubai to find Lin Feng. After that, the three of them quickly returned to see God's Island. At this time, everyone was persevering in the heavy silver pillars. Positi said that they did not need to work so hard in the first half of the year, and that they could get used to it. However, everyone remembered Lin Feng's words. It was best to complete a test within 3 months. Therefore, everyone was working very hard in the past few days. Apart from resting and recovering their soul power, they spent the rest of their time enduring the impact of the wave. In just 3 days, their improvement was very obvious. Other than the 2 auxiliary-type Soul Masters and Tang San, everyone else could endure for more than 4 hours at a time. This improvement could only be described as terrifying. Positi's expression of shock never stopped. It could not be helped. Their control of their soul power was too exquisite. Even if the pressure of the waves spread all over their bodies, everyone was able to adapt quickly. Their endurance was increasing rapidly. When Lin Feng and Dai Mubai arrived, the two of them did not waste any time. They chose a pillar each and jumped over it. Dai Mubai was fine. He chose a pillar in the second row. As for Lin Feng, he didn't hesitate at all. He directly chose to stand in front of everyone to bear the most powerful impact of the wave. This scene was witnessed by everyone. They were very curious to see how long Dai Mubai and Lin Feng could endure the first impact. Just like that, Dai Mubai was pulled out by Positi after 3 hours. As he flew through the air, his soul power surged, and he instantly broke through to rank 73. Previously, he had reached rank 72 after absorbing the soul rings. He did not expect to break through again under this pressure. Dai Mubai was very excited. He started to meditate to recover his physical strength and soul power. At this moment, Lin Feng was standing on the pillar in front of everyone. He was very relaxed as he endured the wave. Tidal tempering was different from the sea god's light. Although it squeezed out one's potential, there was still a difference. The effects of tidal tempering were stronger. While it squeezed out one's potential, it could also strengthen one's body. Furthermore, these huge waves were constantly stacking pressure, and each impact would be a little stronger than the previous one. This stacking up pressure would temper one's body and make it stronger. Lin Feng realized that the stacking up pressure was not caused by the waves themselves. Instead, it was caused by the combination of the sea god's island's special power and the wave. If one's body was not strong enough, they would be easily squeezed dry of their soul power and physical strength. They would then have no choice but to withdraw. However, Lin Feng's body was too strong. This level of impact was nothing to him. He would not be washed away. The main reason why he was enduring the impact was not because he wanted to take the test, but because he wanted to experience it. He wanted to experience the power of the sea god and see if he could analyze it. However, 10 hours had passed, and he still did not care. It seemed like it was too difficult for him to analyze the power of the sea god with his current abilities. As he thought about it, he stopped enduring the wave. Instead, he broke free from the heavy silver hoop and grabbed the pillar that weighed hundreds of thousands of kilograms. What is he doing? Positi had been paying attention to everyone. When Lin Feng made a move, she noticed it. At the same time, she was puzzled. What was Lin Feng doing? Why did he stop enduring the impact and grab the heavy silver pillar instead? Could it be that he wanted to lift the heavy silver pillar? One had to admit that Poseidon had guessed correctly. Lin Feng was going to lift the pillar. He could tell that the main purpose of the sea god's third trial was to ensure that one had a good body. Lin Feng's current body was clearly stronger than the upper limit of the third trial. What he wanted to do was to show this side of him that was beyond his limit. As long as he could do that, he should be able to pass the trial. With that in mind, Lin Feng unleashed his full strength. He secretly used all sorts of soul skills to enhance his body. His entire body glowed with a faint golden light. In the next second, he exerted force with both hands and suddenly pulled. Crack crack. Boom boom. Under Poseidon's dazed gaze, Lin Feng actually lifted the heavy silver pillar a little. At this moment, a special soul power fluctuation spread out in all directions with the heavy silver pillar in Lin Feng's hand as the center. The waves of the entire raging waves despair disappeared in an instant. It was extremely quiet. What happened? Many people closed their eyes and gritted their teeth, waiting for the arrival of the huge waves. But at this moment they realized that there were no waves. The surroundings instantly quieted down. They hurriedly opened their eyes and soon found Lin Feng at the front, who was lifting the heavy silver pillar slightly with both hands. F***ck. Awesome Feng Go. This pillar is so heavy. I couldn't lift it at all even when I used all my strength. I didn't expect Feng Go to lift the pillar. Ma Hongjun opened his mouth wide. Tang San's eyes were also filled with shock. He knew that Lin Feng was strong, but wasn't lifting this 50,000-pound heavy silver pillar a little too ferocious? Poseidon was also shocked because she knew that the pillar was extremely heavy. Even she had to use all her strength to lift this thing. But how old was Lin Feng? At this moment, he was able to lift it directly. Wasn't his strength about the same as hers? This was completely beyond her expectations. At this moment, Lin Feng didn't lift it for long and quickly put it down. This pillar was really too heavy. If he didn't hide it and used all his strength, he should be able to lift it and walk a few steps. But now, because he needed to hide his situation, being able to lift it was already very good. Chapter 494. 50,000 kilograms. Lin Feng remembered that in the original novel, this was a weight that only a god could lift. Although this data was only for reference and didn't mean much in practice, Lin Feng was able to reach this level, which proved his strength. At this moment, a voice sounded in Lin Feng's mind. Exceeding expectations, the candidate successfully lifted the heavy silver pillar and displayed extraordinary strength. His body has been strengthened to the maximum. The third test, title body refinement, was completed ahead of schedule and exceeded expectations. Sea God affinity increased by 20%. Current Sea God affinity is 30%. The reward this time was the same as the second test. It was also Lin Feng's Sea God affinity. He blocked it and put it together. At this moment the huge waves stopped. Everyone stopped their test and came to the shore. Even Poseidon came to the shore, her face full of shock. Head consecrator, what's going on with Brother Feng? Why did the waves stop the moment he picked up the pillar? Tang San panted and asked in a deep voice. The others also looked over. They were also very curious about this question. He finished the test ahead of schedule after lifting the pillar, so the waves stopped for a short time, Poseidon said. Until now, she still didn't understand how Lin Feng could be so strong. This was too abnormal. It was simply ridiculous. A soul master who looked like he was in his 20s could lift the heavy silver pillar. It was too ridiculous. So that's how it is. Brother Feng is really strong. Everyone sighed. Because they didn't know how heavy the heavy silver pillar was, they didn't realize what it meant to move it. They only knew that Lin Feng was strong. At this moment, Lin Feng completed the test. He didn't stay on the pillar for long. Instead, He jumped lightly and landed in front of everyone. Lin Feng, you are really a magical soul master. You can actually move the heavy silver pillar. That's too shocking. Although Lin Feng was so mysterious that even Bai Saishi was surprised, she didn't want to find out more about it. To her and all the soul masters on the Sea God's island, Lin Feng was the successor of the Sea God. Furthermore, he was the kind of successor that the Sea God had personally chosen. With this identity, Poseidon and the others trusted Lin Feng unconditionally. As long as he didn't do anything stupid like going against the Sea God, they wouldn't care too much. Therefore, no matter how mysterious Lin Feng was or how outrageous his actions were, Poseidon would not ask about it. I was just lucky. I suddenly had a feeling that I could move this pillar, and then it was as if the Sea God had bestowed me with power. In the end, I succeeded and also successfully completed the third test. Lin Feng said with a smile. It was an excuse that Poseidon might not have believed, but that was not important. The important thing was that he said it. In this way, this matter was settled. Whether it was Poseidon or Tang San, they understood the whole story and wouldn't ask any more questions. The Sea God bestowed power. Feng Ge, you are too lucky. If I were blessed too, how good would that be? Ning Rongrong immediately said. Her face was full of envy. She probably believed Lin Feng's words. Xiao Wu and Tang San didn't believe Lin Feng's words at all. They had been with him for a long time and could roughly tell which of Lin Feng's words were true and which were false. It was obvious that what he said just now was false, so they just took it for granted. Forget it. Bless you? I think it's more appropriate to bless me. Ma Hongjun laughed. Ning Rongrong didn't refute. She just snorted coldly. Fatty, when I enhance in the future, I won't care about you. I'll let you play by yourself. Don't Rongrong. Ma Hongjuan's face immediately changed. I said the wrong thing just now. The Sea God will definitely bless you and let you pass the test in advance. It's too late. You can tell that to the Sea God. Ning Rongrong was not moved at all. Ma Hongjun was speechless. Fatty had a bad mouth. He would bicker with others every day. Most of the time it was Oscar. However, there was also a lot of time for others. After all, this guy's mouth was too foul. He talked too much and often got beaten up. At this time, Poseidon said, Lin Feng, congratulations on passing the third test. Now you have two choices. The first is to start the fourth test immediately. The second is to rest. You can come back for the fourth test whenever you want within a year. I choose the second option. Lin Feng said without hesitation. Very good. Poseidon said, I will be here for a year. You can come and find me anytime. Okay. Lin Feng nodded. Soon, he said to the others, I have passed the third test. I am going to walk around the island. You guys can continue to stay here and pass the test. When you all pass, we will go to the fourth test together. Okay, Feng Ge. Everyone agreed. Lin Feng didn't waste any more time and left the place. After Lin Feng left, everyone took some time to recuperate. After that, they continued with their days of tidal body refinement. Lin Feng did not leave the Sea God's island immediately. Instead, he went to the island within the island and continued to climb the stairs. Although the third test was very stressful, it did not give him any experience points. This made Lin Feng very unhappy. So, he returned to the Sea God's light to squeeze himself dry and gain experience points. However, as his strength increased, the pressure of the Sea God's light did not have much effect on him. Of course, this effect was still there before he reached the top. Just like that, Lin Feng began his plan to climb the tower. This was not the whole plan. It was just one of the plans. Lin Feng would go and find the deep-sea demon whale king in the future. In addition, he would return to Heaven Do City from time to control the development of the situation. When he fought with Bibi Dong in Martial Spirit City, that guy's strength increased very quickly. Although he did not know the specific strength, compared to the original book, it was definitely a big change. Lin Feng was worried that Bibi Dong might become a god earlier. If that was the case, things would be a little complicated. So, Lin Feng had to increase his strength by another level before Bibi Dong became a god. At that time, even if she really became a god, Lin Feng would not be afraid. Just like that, as time passed, Lin Feng's experience points increased slowly. He did not stop his plan to find the deep-sea demon whale king. But it seemed that this whale was not destined to die yet. He still could not find it. There was even one time when he brought Tang San with him, but the result was the same. They couldn't find the whale at all. However, Lin Feng did not give up. After all, the deep-sea demon whale king was too attractive to him. Even if he could not find it, he would keep looking. Just like that, 6 months passed in the blink of an eye. During this time, nothing major happened in the Martial Spirit Alliance. Everything went on as usual, especially these monthly tests. Lin Feng participated in them personally and earned a total of 1 billion experience points. Including the experience points he got from the Sea God's Light, he had a total of 6 billion experience points. As long as he got 4 billion more, he would be able to get another 1 million year soul ring. After talking about himself, let's talk about the others. In these 6 months, except for Tang San, everyone had passed the third test. Their rewards weren't something like Sea God Affinity. Instead, they were actual soul power ranks and the age of their soul rings. Speaking of which, the rewards for the third and second tests were the same. Dai Mubai, Ma Hongjun, and the others were all rank 1 soul power and 500 years of soul ring age. Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and the others were all rank 1 soul power and 1,000 years of soul ring age. As for Xueqinghe, although he did not get a reward in the end, his soul power rank had already reached rank 79 due to the tempering. Not only him, at this moment, Tang San and Xiao Wu had reached rank 79. They were only a step away from breaking through to Soul Dolu. Because they did not have the immortal medicine, their cultivation began to hit a bottleneck. This time, they had been stuck at rank 79 for a while. Next was Dai Mubai. He was rank 74 now and was very powerful. As for Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong, they were both rank 73. Like Dai Mubai, they were holding a god-bestowed soul ring in their hands. The soul rings on their bodies were very simple. Of course, they were obtained by Lin Feng when he brought them to hunt soul beasts. Finally, Ma Hongjun and Oscar were rank 69 and rank 68 respectively. They were still some time away from becoming soul sages. However, after they reached rank 70, Lin Feng would also help them find suitable older soul beasts. At that time, relying on the age of their soul beasts, they would quickly reach rank 73 like Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong. Of course, the most important thing to them now was not their soul power rank, but the age of their soul rings. This was because their soul power rank could be achieved through cultivation in the future. As for the age of their soul rings, it was not something that soul masters could change. Only the power of a god could increase the age of their soul rings. But now, with the rewards from the second and third exams added together, everyone's soul rings were all purple, and the yellow soul rings could no longer be seen. This was undoubtedly a huge improvement for everyone. Like Lin Feng, everyone returned to the Sea God's Light and started to climb the stairs. They used this to train themselves and quickly squeeze out their potential. At the same time, everyone was looking forward to the fourth test. They wanted to see what kind of rewards there would be. At this time, in the raging waves' despair, only Tang San was holding on in the tide. After half a year, his control of his soul power had become better and better. Because the surging waves didn't have a fixed shape, every impact was a completely different experience. In order to completely resist them, Tang San continuously used his soul power to disperse and resist them. It was not only him. After passing the third test, everyone's control of their soul power had increased rapidly. In addition to their control, their cultivation ability had also been strengthened. After all, after everyone adapted for a period of time, they had to lie on the pillars all day long to receive the impact. Under such circumstances, if they did not continuously recover their soul power, they would not have been able to hold on for so long. That's right, this kind of tidal impact also had the effect of strengthening one's spiritual power. Although the effect was not very strong, after such a long time, the effect was still considerable. Especially at this time, Tang San's mysterious heaven technique had been spontaneously used, intertwining with his soul power control. Even his spiritual sea was trembling. Suddenly, the sun rose. The white horizon and the sea formed a line, looking extremely beautiful. Tang San did not have the time to appreciate the beautiful scenery. Instead, he was fully focused on capturing the purple gas that flashed across the sky. Tang San would do this kind of thing every day. He had never slacked off on his cultivation of the purple demon eyes. This time, when he absorbed the purple gas with his eyes as usual, there was a sudden rumble in his mind. The spiritual power in his mind exploded and began to develop in the direction of the sea. In just a short breath, the spiritual power in Tang San's mind turned into a huge spiritual sea. Tang San knew that his spiritual power had broken through. Along with it, his purple demon eyes had also reached the highest level. He could see the islands at the edge of the sea with his eyes. He could even see the leaves and birds on the islands. With a sweep of his spiritual power, the entire sea god's island appeared in his mind. It was as if he had transformed into a giant, overlooking the entire sea god's island from the sky. Furthermore, as his thoughts churned, he could clearly sense everything on the sea god's island. At this time, the dignified voice in his mind rang out. Exceeded expectations of the test. Your spiritual power has been awakened. You have exceeded the third test's tidal body tempering. Your affinity with the sea god has increased by 15%. Your total affinity is 25%. This time, Tang San's performance was outstanding. However, compared to Lin Feng, he was still a little lacking. Therefore, his affinity with the sea god had decreased by 5%. At this time, Lin Feng suddenly appeared beside him. He placed his hand on Tang San's back and retracted the spiritual power of the sea god. Feng Gu, what's wrong with you? Tang San was confused. He did not know why Lin Feng suddenly appeared beside him. Lin Feng said, Xiao San, it's best not to scan your spiritual power. It's impolite. Do you understand? Just now, Tang San's spiritual power scan was too obvious. He immediately sensed it and rushed over. Oh! Tang San nodded and made a mental note of this. Not far away, Poseidon had also sensed the powerful spiritual energy. She was shocked again. Spiritual power was something that only titled Dolua could cultivate. Bai Sai herself had reached rank 99. She had only experienced a qualitative change in her spiritual power after a special opportunity. However, Tang San was still so young. She did not expect him to reach such a level. Lin Feng also seemed to have sensed this. Clearly, his spiritual power was stronger than Tang San's. Both of them shocked Bai Sai. No wonder they were the chosen successors of the sea god. Chapter 495. This is the evolution of your spiritual power. I didn't expect your spiritual power to become so strong, Posidi said calmly as she walked over to the two of them. After spending so much time with the 9 of them, Posidi realized that she had gradually developed a bigger heart. Compared to other things, this breakthrough in spiritual power could no longer shock her. Feng Gu told me that this is a normal phenomenon. As long as you have a deep enough control of your soul power, your spiritual power will also change, Tang San said. Posidi was speechless. Normal phenomenon? What a joke. She was sure that the number of soul masters on the Dolua continent who had such a qualitative change in their spiritual power could be counted on one hand. However, from Tang San's tone, it seemed like it was very easy. The main thing was that he wasn't bragging, nor was it some fantasy story. It was something that had happened in front of her. Positi realized that she was really getting old because of this. Her understanding of the Dolua continent had been stagnant for decades. These new things made her a little overwhelmed. It's not as easy as you say. You must have been lucky this time and had an epiphany. Otherwise, you would have needed at least a year to reach this level, Lin Feng said. Epiphany was something that could save time. It was similar to inspiration. Suddenly, he felt that things had become much simpler. I see. Tang San nodded. Bai Saishi, who was standing at the side, was stunned. She didn't want to say anything. She was mentally exhausted. When she heard Lin Feng say that it wasn't that easy, she was relieved. However, he changed the topic and said that it would take a year. So it's normal for spiritual power to undergo a qualitative change at the age of 20? I'm really old. I can't keep up with the times. Just as Positi was lamenting, Lin Feng said, Head priest, now that we've passed the third test, tell us about the fourth test. We're ready to start the fourth test. Positi nodded. The rest of you should be at Neptune's light. Let's go there first. Okay. After nodding their heads, the three of them rushed towards the ring-shaped sea. Soon, under Lin Feng's summons, everyone walked down the stairs and gathered together. Poseidon cut to the chase and said, Congratulations, you have passed the third test. Now, on behalf of Poseidon, I give you the fourth test. As soon as he finished speaking, lights of various colors appeared on everyone's bodies. Soon, Ma Hongjun shouted, I see it. My fourth test is called Peak Shark Whale Battle. I want to assist the Demonic Soul Great White Shark Group to kill the Evil Demon Killer Whale Group. My goal is to kill 10 Evil Demon Killer Whales. I also killed 10 Evil Demon Killer Whales. Dai Mubai said. You guys are really noobs. I have 20, twice as many as you. Xiao Wu laughed. Zhu Zhuqing said calmly, I also have 20. As for Oscar and Ning Rongrong, because they were auxiliary-type soul masters, their test was slightly different from everyone else's. Instead of killing soul beasts, their test was to protect the group of great white demon sharks. This was to reduce their casualties. As for Tang San, his task was to kill the evil demon killer whale king. As for Lin Feng, his task was a little special. He didn't have to participate in the peak shark whale battle. Instead, he had to kill a soul beast called the Blood Shadow Shark King. Lin Feng had never heard of this soul beast before. He asked Poseidon, Great Consecrator, have you heard of a soul beast called the Blood Shadow Shark? Blood Shadow Shark? Your mission is to kill it? Poseidon cried out in surprise. What's wrong? Is this soul beast very hard to find? Lin Feng frowned. It's not hard to find, it's very hard to kill. Poseidon said, The Blood Shadow Shark is a very special kind of sea soul beast. It's very ferocious and likes to live alone. It has almost no natural enemies in the sea. Most importantly, it has space-type soul skills and is very good at escaping. It's very difficult to kill it in the sea. Lin Feng was unmoved. He continued to ask, May I ask where the Blood Shadow Shark King is? Space-type abilities? Wasn't this showing off in front of an expert? Lin Feng's 8th soul ring was a million-year soul ring. His space-type abilities were number 1 in the entire Dolua continent. Therefore, this Blood Shadow Shark King was nothing to him. Poseidon didn't know this. He said, If your task is to kill the Blood Shadow Shark King, then it's very dangerous. It's a 100,000-year soul beast. Not only is it very strong, but its space-type abilities are more outstanding than the average Blood Shadow Shark. Even I can't catch it. A 100,000-year soul beast? Everyone was shocked. If Lin Feng went alone to deal with a 100,000-year soul beast, everyone would be worried. After all, the Blood Shadow Shark King was as powerful as a titled Dolua soul beast. Most importantly, it was in the sea. If Lin Feng went alone, it would be very dangerous. This is nothing. I can ask Mr. Destroy to help me. The main question is, where can I find the Blood Shadow Shark King? Lin Feng continued to ask Poseidon. This time, Poseidon didn't hesitate. He pointed to the west and said, "Go west for 800 kilometers. That's where the Blood Shadow Shark King is active. If you go there, you should be able to find it." "Thank you." Lin Feng saluted. He should thank Poseidon. After all, he didn't know anything about the Blood Shadow Shark King. If Poseidon hadn't pointed him out, he wouldn't even know where the soul beast was. After thanking Poseidon, Lin Feng said to everyone, "I'll part with you guys. You guys work together and try to finish the test as soon as possible. I'll leave first." "Okay, Feng, go. We'll definitely finish the 4th test as soon as possible," everyone said. Lin Feng had just taken 2 steps when he suddenly thought of something and said, "By the way, the Sea God's test isn't fixed. It can be over-completed. As long as you guys perform well and kill more evil demon killer whales, you should get some extra rewards." Tang San also echoed, "That's right. I did over-complete the task just now. The final reward is pretty good." "I see. In that case, we'll have to kill more," Ma Hongjun said with a smile. "I finally have a chance to fight. My hands are itching." Dai Mubai clenched his fists so hard that they made cracking sounds. After being tempered by the tide for so many days, they hadn't fought for a long time. Everyone missed it. "Okay, I'll stop talking. I'm leaving." After 3 rounds of beating, Lin Feng didn't stay there for long. He quickly ran to the west. He was the Blood Shadow Shark King. Just from the name alone, he felt that it wouldn't be easy to find. Therefore, Lin Feng was more anxious to find it. After discussing for a while, everyone walked towards the ring-shaped sea. They wanted to find Little White and help it fight. At this time, Xueqinghe had been following Tang San and the others. In fact, Xueqinghe didn't have to participate in the 4th test. He could continue to stay on the Sea God's light side and improve himself. However, after spending so much time together, he still somewhat approved of Tang San and the others. Now, in order to integrate into the crowd faster, he naturally chose to participate in the battle together. Just as they were rushing towards Little White, Lin Feng had already flown above the sea. While enjoying the sea breeze, Lin Feng calculated the distance to the Sea God's island. As long as he was 800 kilometers away, he would begin to search carefully. It didn't take much time to travel. Soon, Lin Feng arrived at the place where the Blood Shadow Shark was. Sharks weren't whales. They weren't very big. Even if they were 100,000 years old, it would be good if they were about 30 meters long. Therefore, under such circumstances, it would take a lot of work for him to search. Fortunately, he was the only one here. Lin Feng directly created dozens of doppelgangers and searched around. After searching for about 15 minutes, he finally saw the Blood Shadow Shark. This was a 70,000-year soul beast. It was obviously not a 100,000-year Blood Shadow Shark King. However, as they were of the same species, it should know where their king was. Therefore, at this time, Lin Feng began to interrogate and find the location of the Blood Shadow Shark King. The interrogation was very simple. After all, soul beasts didn't beat around the bush and liked to speak directly. Lin Feng directly beat it up and threatened it. It confessed everything. These soul beasts had special soul skills that could teleport. Their spatial abilities weren't weak, but they met Lin Feng. He knew too much about spatial knowledge. Just a simple soul power fluctuation was enough to make this Blood Shadow Shark unable to move, let alone teleport. When the time came, as long as he met this Blood Shadow Shark King, Lin Feng would use spatial imprisonment on it. This way, the other party wouldn't be able to escape. Just like that, with this thought, Lin Feng quickly found the Blood Shadow Shark King. It was a huge shark that was close to 40 meters long. Its body was blood red, and its body was very slender. There were red patterns on its face. It was very scary. The latter's senses were very sharp. In the water, it could detect abnormalities from dozens of nautical miles away. Lin Feng rarely fought in the water, so he didn't know how to hide himself. Therefore, he was discovered in advance. However, this wasn't a problem at all. He didn't hesitate and instantly teleported to the Blood Shadow Shark King's side. In the next second, the soul skill on his soul bone was activated. Spatial imprisonment. This time, the Blood Shadow Shark King's huge body was instantly imprisoned on the spot. What is this? Why can't I teleport? This soul beast panicked and exclaimed. From birth until now, the Blood Shadow Shark clan was simply the darling of the sea. They were fast, strong, and could escape for their lives. They basically had no natural enemies. Under such circumstances, the Blood Shadow Shark King had never encountered a situation where it couldn't teleport at all. Therefore, at this moment, it was panicking and didn't know what to do at all. It just kept trying to teleport, but at most, its body flickered and couldn't disappear. Don't struggle in vain here, die. In the sea, Lin Feng couldn't speak, but his spiritual power could fluctuate. What this Blood Shadow Shark King said to him just now was a communication on the spiritual level. At this moment, he couldn't be bothered to say anything more. This Blood Shadow Shark King would be the first soul ring on his 1,000 trickery ruler. With that thought, the 1,000 trickery ruler turned into a big knife and cut the Blood Shadow Shark King in half from head to tail. Until its death, it still couldn't figure out how an ordinary soul master could kill it so easily. His spatial ability seemed to have been completely crippled. This really made the beast very puzzled. With doubts, the Blood Shadow Shark King died. Ding! After a short battle, the host killed the 165,243-year soul beast Blood Shadow Shark King. Combat experience increased. Experience points plus 529,16782, more than 50 million experience points. It was considered very good. To be honest, after killing this soul beast, Lin Feng was a little regretful because he killed it too early. This was a 100,000-year soul beast, and it had the strength of 160,000 years. If he caught it and farmed for more than 10 days, he would get at least 200 million experience points. However, his hand was too fast, and he subconsciously killed him. But it didn't matter, he killed it. Anyway, to the current Lin Feng, 1 or 200 million experience points weren't a lot. At this moment, on the corpse of the Blood Shadow Shark King, a blood-red 100,000-year soul ring quickly appeared. 160,000-year soul ring, it was considered not bad. Lin Feng didn't hesitate. The 1,000 trickery ruler appeared and instantly absorbed it. After sitting cross-legged for a while, Lin Feng completely absorbed the soul ring. This was the soul skill given by the Blood Shadow Shark King's soul ring. It was unknown whether it was because of the martial soul or the soul beast, but its soul skill was very special. It was called Spatial Shatter. This was a passive soul skill that could be turned on and off. Its effect was to add the effect of spatial shatter to one's weapon and create spatial cracks. It was very strong, but it could only be added to the weapon of the 1,000 trickery ruler. Maybe after thorough research there would be new uses, but for now, it could only be added to the 1,000 trickery ruler. Other than that, a soul bone appeared on the shark's corpse. Lin Feng waved his hand and soul power wrapped around the soul bone and it flew into his hand. This was a right leg bone. His luck was good, Lin Feng didn't have a right leg bone, so after absorbing it, his strength would increase a little. And this right leg bone gave Lin Feng 2 soul skills. They were called Spatial Shatter and Berserk. The former's effect was similar to teleportation, but it could open a spatial door and teleport a group, but the distance wasn't very far. This soul skill was good, but it wasn't very useful to Lin Feng, so he didn't care about it after a glance. Then there was the second soul skill, Berserk. From the name, one could tell that it was an amplification-type soul skill. In fact, the effect was very obvious. It could increase one's attributes by 10 times for an hour. One had to know that Lin Feng's third soul skill, the iron-armored demonic bear transformation, only increased his attributes by 8 times. With another 10 times, his strength would increase again. Chapter 496. The amplification of a soul skill's attributes didn't mean that the soul skill's attributes would be multiplied again. Instead, it only multiplied the soul skill's basic attribute. This meant that the Soul Bones Berserk soul skill didn't cause any qualitative changes to Lin Feng's abilities. More importantly, after reaching the level of a god, one's attributes didn't affect one's fighting strength as much as when one was a soul master. Instead, it was the godly power that was more important. Godly power was many times stronger than soul power, and could completely crush a soul master. Although Lin Feng's soul rings were at the million-year level, he didn't have any godly power in his body. Perhaps it was because he didn't have a godly seat or some other special reason, but he only had soul power. Therefore, even though he had 2 million-year soul rings, he didn't have the strength to crush Bibi Dong and the 1,000 Daos Lu. Successfully killed the Blood Shadow Shark King. Took half a day. Perfect completion of the 4th test. Affinity with the sea god increased by 25%. Current affinity, 50%. Lin Feng isolated the power that increased his affinity with the sea god just like before and threw it aside. After that, he didn't stay here for long. He quickly rushed towards Tang San. At the same time, Tang San and the others arrived at the sea region where the evil demon killer whales lived. A group of ferocious and powerful soul beasts lived here, especially the evil demon killer whale king. It was 100,000-year soul beast and was very strong. As the evil demon killer whales lived in groups, they were very threatening. Even the great white demon sharks weren't their match. However, this wasn't a problem for Tang San and the others. Previously, when most of Shrek's 7 monsters were soul emperors, even Dugubo, who was a rank 95 titled Soul Master, wasn't a match for them if they attacked together. This was especially so for Tang San. If he unleashed his full abilities, he wouldn't have a problem taking on Dugubo alone. Now, after passing the 3 tests, not only did their soul power increase tremendously, but their soul rings also became much older. This was especially so for their 7th soul ring. When their martial soul true bodies were unleashed, their abilities were almost doubled. If they worked together, they would be able to deal with 5 or 6 titled battle pet warriors at the same time. Therefore, when they saw the group of evil demon killer whales, they didn't waste any time and directly prepared to charge forward. However, before that, Tang San still tried to motivate them. Feng Gu said that the Sea God's test is flexible. It's not fixed. Our request is only 10 or 20 of them. However, if we kill more, the reward should also increase. Dai Mubai also nodded and said, "That's right, as long as you kill enough, the rewards will also be greater." However, I heard from Little White that there are only 200 to 300 of these evil demon killer whales. I don't think that's enough for us to kill. Little White was that devil soul great white shark king. Previously, it had even threatened to teach them a lesson next time. After receiving the Sea God's test, he reluctantly accepted everyone's request to work together. However, he was still a little uncooperative in the beginning, especially when it came to Xiao Wu. When Tang San saw that, he didn't say anything and directly beat Little White up. That power! Bai Saishi's mouth twitched. Young people nowadays were so strong. He was getting old. Since then, Little White had completely lost its temper. Carried everyone and was very obedient in the sea. Boss Dai, later on, you should stop and let me have a few. I'm afraid that I won't be able to kill enough, Xiao Wu said pitifully. Like hell I'll believe you. Dai Mubai's mouth twitched. Your teleportation skill is amazing at the bottom of the sea. Later on, you'll have to be merciful and let us kill enough first. Let's see what we can do. Xiao Wu stopped acting after being exposed. Ma Hongjun said bitterly, My martial spirit is really restrained at the bottom of the sea. When the time comes, all of you will have to go easy on me. Stop acting pitiful. Get ready to attack. Tang San laughed. Ma Hongjun knew how to act. After his martial spirit evolved, although water had a restraining effect on him, it usually required an extremely strong water-type spirit master. This kind of ownerless seawater had no effect on him at all. He was just acting pitiful. I want 40. Suddenly Zhu Zhuqing said. As her voice fell, her martial spirit instantly attached to her body. She turned into a dark shadow and dived into the sea. In the next second, she appeared beside an evil demon killer whale. Whoosh! A purple light flashed and Zhu Zhuqing appeared 10 meters away with her hands turned into claws. Behind her, the evil demon killer whale had already turned into a corpse. Take she cheated. Ma Hongjun screamed. He was the first to react and rushed over. At this moment, flames rose all over his body and drilled into the sea. They didn't extinguish at all and instead merged into the sea. With a flap of his wings, he covered a distance of over 100 meters. There was nothing else about this. It was just that his control of his spirit power was very good. After such a long time of body tempering, it wasn't for nothing. Ma Hongjuan's control of his spirit power had increased greatly. His spirit power wrapped around the flames and was like the sky in the water. Let's go over too. I'll deal with the evil demon killer whale king. You guys can do whatever you want. Tang San laughed loudly and directly activated his flying-type spirit skill. He rushed straight towards the evil demon killer whale king from the sky. His purple demon eyes had just broken through to the highest realm, and he could see the 100,000-year spirit beast at a glance. At this moment, everyone and the demon's soul great white sharks caught up and the battle instantly became intense. However, this intense battle didn't last for long. Very soon, the evil demon killer whales were completely wiped out. This was because the strength of both sides was completely unequal. Under Lin Feng's guidance, Tang San and the others were all monstrous geniuses. And the test given by the sea god was for geniuses. To everyone, it wasn't considered much at all. Just like that, in just 10 minutes or so, everyone gathered together. They had all completed the test. Close to 300 evil demon killer whales were all killed. They had all exceeded the requirements of the test. Of course, this wasn't all the evil demon killer whales in the sea. There were definitely other groups. However, Tang San and Little White didn't know where they were, so everyone didn't continue to look for them. Instead, they gathered together. At this moment, the sea god's reward was also given out. Successfully killed the evil demon killer whales. The number of evil demon killer whales has reached 49. It took half a day to complete the 4th test. Your spirit power rank has increased by 1, and the age of each spirit ring has increased by 1,000 years. This was the reward given to Dai Mubai by the sea god. As the 4th test of the black rank, it was considered very good to have such a reward. Ma Hongjun killed 43. Although he wasn't as good as Dai Mubai, his reward was the same. Furthermore, everyone discovered that Oscar actually received the same reward as the two of them. He had ensured that the Demon Soul Great White Shark group that Little White was in did not suffer any casualties. Under such circumstances, he completed the mission perfectly, so he received a high reward. Ning Rongrong was the same as him, receiving a perfect reward. However, because she was the top 7th test, her reward was a little more. Her spirit power had increased by 2 ranks, and the age of her spirit rings had increased by 1,000 years. As for Zhu Zhuqing and Xiao Wu, their rewards were the same as Ning Rongrong's. Finally, it was Tang San. His reward was the same as Lin Feng's, still the sea god affinity. However, it was only 20%. Currently, his total affinity was 5% lower than Lin Feng's, only 45%. Just as the sea god affinity score was released, Lin Feng suddenly appeared beside him. Just like before, he separated the sea god affinity score from him. When everyone rushed into the group of evil demon killer whales, Lin Feng was already at the side. It was just that he didn't come out. At that time, he was observing everyone's performance during the battle. Now, it seemed that everyone's performance was not bad. At least, they didn't make any mistakes, especially everyone's ability to control their spirit power. They could be considered to have reached the entry level and were very delicate. As for Xueqinghe, he was still a little lacking. However, he could still be considered very strong. Every time he was about to kill the evil demon killer whale, he would be able to stop in the end and give the head to someone else. Feng Gu, have you completed your test? Tang San immediately asked after seeing Lin Feng. Yes, I've completed it. Lin Feng nodded. At this moment, Ma Hongjun said excitedly, Handsome Feng Gu, good Feng Gu, I'm rank 70. I'm going to become a soul sage soon. Help me call Mr. Destroy over. I want to get my 7th spirit ring as soon as possible. Xiao Wu also hurriedly said, Feng Gu, I'm also rank 80. I still have an extra spirit ring that hasn't been upgraded. When I become Soul Doluo, I should be able to add an extra spirit ring. After that, she seemed to have realized something and said, Haha, I seem to be the first to reach Soul Doluo's level. I'm going to be your big sister from now on. Xiao Wu was in high spirits. She looked at Ma Hongjun and the others with a smug expression. Xiao Wu had the right to be smug. The first to reach Soul Doluo's level was really too strong. Even Xueqinghe had a look of shame on his face. He was 5 years older than Xiao Wu. He was already 24 years old, but he was only rank 79. This little girl had surpassed him. However, at the same time, she was also very glad that she had followed her instincts and come to see God's island with them. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to break through so many spirit rings in less than a year and reach his current level. Come, let's hear you call me Big Sister Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu said to everyone. Everyone. No one responded. Xiao Wu wasn't embarrassed at all. She turned to look at Tang San and smiled. Third brother, you caught up to me before. You can't do it now. You're just a rank 79 soul sage. In front of Soul Doluo, you're just a little brother. Tang San was speechless. Then he said, Xiao Wu, let me tell you. After the battle just now, I think I'm going to break through. Break through? Who are you lying to? Xiao Wu didn't believe him at all. However, Tang San was telling the truth. After his spiritual power broke through, he had already reached Soul Doluo's level. He just lacked an opportunity to break through. Obviously, the battle with the evil Tiger Whale King just now had become this opportunity. After the battle ended, the soul power in Tang San's body kept fluctuating. Just now, when Lin Feng appeared and expelled the sea god's affinity in his body, he also stabilized his restless soul power. However, when Lin Feng withdrew his power and left, the fluctuations appeared again. At this moment, he had just finished talking to Xiao Wu when he sat cross-legged on Little White. Xiao Wu. It's actually true. Although she didn't believe it, the soul power fluctuations were real. Xiao Wu had no choice but to believe it. Half a minute later, the soul power fluctuations gradually decreased, and Tang San opened his eyes. Look, I'm at rank 80, Tang San said with a smile. That relaxed look made it seem as if breaking through was as simple as eating and drinking. At this moment Lin Feng said, Xiao San go. It absorbed the soul ring of the evil Tiger Whale King. And that soul bone, it's a set with you. You can absorb it too. Ah? Can I really absorb the soul ring of an aquatic soul beast? Tang San was stunned. Although the conflict between soul rings and martial souls would be greatly weakened after becoming a soul sage, there would still be a huge conflict if he absorbed the soul ring of an aquatic soul beast. It's okay, you can absorb it. The 9 tests of the sea god gave you the light of the sea god. When the time comes, you can just use that thing. Lin Feng smiled. the light of the sea god was still useful. When Xueqinghe was chased away by the light of the sea god, Lin Feng added an aura of the same origin on him. That was why he was fine in the end. I see, this golden light can actually let me absorb the soul ring of a aquatic soul beast. Tang San had a look of realization. Go and absorb it. Lin Feng waved his hand and said, after you're done, we'll go back to the sea god's island to find the great consecrator to get the soul ring. After that, I'll call Mr. Destroy over and bring Xiao Wu and Fatty to hunt for suitable soul rings. Okay. Tang San nodded and quickly came to the evil tiger whale king's side. Without any hesitation, he directly absorbed this 100,000-year soul ring. The current Tang San's body was very strong. It was not a problem for him to withstand a 100,000-year soul ring. After an hour, Tang San successfully absorbed the soul ring, and his soul power reached rank 82. Next was the soul bone. The evil tiger whale king dropped a torso soul bone, and Tang San also successfully absorbed it. When everything was settled, the sky was already dark. Tang San did not feel anything, and the group quickly returned to the sea god's island. Just as they arrived at the ring-shaped sea, they realized that Bai Saishi was already waiting for them at the shore. Congratulations, you've passed the 4th test, and you've done very well. Bai Saishi continued. Among you, Tang San, Xiao Wu, and Ma Hongjun reached a bottleneck previously, and the sea god specially gave you soul rings. As she spoke, Bai Saishi placed the soul rings in their hands. Actually, Lin Feng could break through to rank 90 at this moment, and then he would be able to obtain a soul ring. But there was no need for that, because his body was not strong enough to withstand a 1,000,000-year soul ring. After all, this was not a direct boost from the system. He had to bear all the pressure and slowly strengthen himself. If he was not stable, the soul ring's age would not be ideal. Therefore, he had to be more confident before he came to take it. As for why he did not take it first, it was very simple. Lin Feng was afraid that he would not be able to resist the temptation and absorb it directly, so he wanted to take it later. Chapter 497. Congratulations again for passing the 4th test. Like before, you have 2 choices. Do you want to start the 5th test now? Or do you want to start it later? Bai Saishi would ask this question every time. It was a rule, so it couldn't be omitted. Head consecrator, we choose to wait for a while, Lin Feng said. Alright, when you've made your decision, just activate the light of the sea god. I'll come over when I sense it. Bai Saishi smiled and left quickly. Lin Feng said to everyone, continue climbing the stairs. I'll bring Xiao Wu and Fatty back to the continent to help them hunt for soul rings. Lin Feng's strength had been exposed, so he didn't need to use Thanos as an excuse. He just said that he was going to bring them to hunt for soul beasts. Okay. Everyone nodded in agreement with Lin Feng's arrangement. Just like that, the others continued climbing the stairs, while Fatty and Xiao Wu followed Lin Feng back to the continent. Before Xiao Wu reached rank 60, she could condense her own soul ring. But after becoming a soul emperor, she had to hunt for soul beasts, just like humans. So this time, it would take some time to find suitable soul beasts for the 2 of them. It would probably take a week or 2. Xiao Wu's soul was Doluo, so her physique was very strong. Lin Feng felt that she should be able to absorb a 90,000-year soul ring. Although it was a little dangerous, it shouldn't be a big problem under his watch. As for Fatty, he was only a soul sage. A 70,000-year soul ring should be enough for him. The best place to find soul beasts of this age was the Star Do Great Forest. With that thought, Lin Feng brought the 2 of them to Star Do Great Forest. At the same time, in Martial Spirit City, in a room behind the Elder's Hall, Hu Laina took the opportunity to break through to rank 70. One had to know that Hu Laina had just broken through to rank 64 a year ago. Now that a year had passed, her soul power had broken through 6 ranks. On average, it was equivalent to breaking through one rank every 2 months. This cultivation speed, especially when there was a huge bottleneck in the middle, made it difficult for Shrek's 7 monsters to catch up. It was ridiculous. There was a reason for this. It was because of Bibi Dong. After Bibi Dong reached rank 99, she was only lacking in comprehension. Soul power, on the other hand, wasn't that important. Thus, when she meditated, she would deliberately collect the excess soul power and find an opportunity to send it to Hulaina's side so that she could absorb it during her meditation. Bibi Dong didn't choose to instill soul power, as that would greatly affect a soul master's potential. Using this kind of subtle change, although the speed was very slow, it could prevent this kind of problem. Now, Hulaina had only spent a year to reach level 70. Moreover, the bottleneck was not very serious. She broke through easily. From this, it could be seen that this method was very effective. However, Bibi Dong knew that it was best not to use it. Once she became a soul sage, it was best not to do it again. Elder Gui, Elder Ju, bring little Na to the Star Do Great Forest and help her find a suitable soul ring. Bibi Dong summoned Gui and Ju and instructed them. Yes. The two of them nodded and immediately went to Hulaina. In their hearts, they also felt a trace of reverence and even fear towards Bibi Dong's strength. They realized that Bibi Dong seemed to have changed. His personality had changed greatly. Didn't the two of them sneak to Heaven Do City to investigate? The results of their investigation were out. The alliance leader of the Martial Soul Alliance, Tang San, was indeed not around. Currently, Ning Fengji was in charge. When they heard this news, they wanted to go up north to conquer some cities. But now they were at a standstill. Bibi Dong didn't seem to have any plans. He only wanted to defend Martial Soul City to the death. Perhaps His Majesty the Pope already had a big plan in mind. Gui and Daisy could only think this way. Soon, the two of them arrived outside the room where Hulaina had broken through. Coincidentally, Hulaina opened the door and walked out. She smiled when she saw them. Grandpa Gui, Grandpa Ju, why are you here? Congratulations on breaking through to rank 70. We're here to bring you to the Star Do Great Forest to find a suitable soul ring. Ju and Dolua laughed. Is that so? That's great. I was just about to find Master. Hulaina smiled. Finding a suitable soul beast right after breaking through was the most comfortable thing for a soul master. Let's go. Gui and Ju immediately brought Hulaina to the Star Do Great Forest. Martial Soul City wasn't far from the Star Do Great Forest. Soon, the three of them arrived. They didn't stop at the periphery. Instead, they went straight into the depth. The two titled Soul Masters were protecting Dolu. Furthermore, they were only looking for a 50,000-year soul beast. In terms of safety, there wouldn't be any problems. While the three of them were searching in the forest, Lin Feng was also searching in the forest with Xiao Wu and Ma Hongjun. On the surface, the three of them were searching bit by bit. In reality, Lin Feng had already created dozens of clones to search everywhere. Suddenly, one of the clones stopped. Hulaina? There's also Ju Dolua and Gui Dolu. This is rank 70? That's right. This clone scanned the area with his divine sense, and found Hulaina and the others. Speaking of which, he hadn't seen Hulaina for a long time. Now that he saw her, he immediately recalled his encounter in the City of Massacre. Although it was a short period of time, it was still very interesting. Of course, this wasn't important right now. The main thing was, how was Hulaina at rank 70? When they separated, she was only at rank 60. It had only been a year and a half since they separated. In such a short period of time, she reached rank 70. Did she eat a celestial medicine? Or did she receive a god's trial? In any case, Hulaina must have received some kind of opportunity. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to improve so much. In the next second, Lin Feng's clone teleported over and sensed Hulaina's situation. Back in the city of Massacre, Lin Feng had sensed Hu Laiina's entire body. Now that he sensed her again, he was very familiar with it. Furthermore, Lin Feng was surprised to find that she was still wearing the clothes from back then. He had used the 1000 trickery ruler to condense it. At first, he didn't notice it. Now that he discovered it, he was a little stunned. Subconsciously, Lin Feng used his divine sense to reinforce the clothes. Because he had already forgotten the shape of the clothes, he wasn't used to it. He couldn't keep up with Hu Laiina's figure. At this moment, Hu Laiina was walking. Suddenly, she felt that the clothes on her body were a little heavy, and her whole body was slightly pressed down. Little Na? What happened? Daisy Dolua asked. Nothing. Let's continue walking. Hu Laiina shook her head. She sensed for a bit and didn't find anything. Perhaps the clothes had accidentally scraped against something like a tree branch. Thinking about this, Hu Laiina quickly checked the clothes. After finding that there was no damage, she felt relieved and continued walking. Back in the city of Massacre, Hu Laiina clearly knew that her clothes had been torn. But in the end, she still wore an undamaged set of clothes. It was exactly the same as before. At that time, she didn't understand. But later, Hu Laiina knew that Yong'an had definitely put it on her. Moreover, this was the last thing on her body that was related to Yong'an. So now, Hu Laiina treated it as a treasure. Even if Yong'an didn't come to see her, she wasn't discouraged. She firmly believed that he would definitely appear. At this moment, not far away, Lin Feng's heartbeat suddenly quickened. He was like a child who was almost caught playing games by his parent. When his divine sense paused for a moment, he immediately retracted it. That was why Hu Laiina didn't discover anything after that. The reason why Lin Feng's heartbeat quickened now was mainly because the collision of their divine senses had suppressed something that shouldn't have been touched. That feeling was too strange. So Lin Feng was a little nervous. Even his face was a little red. But then again, he didn't find anything strange about Hu Laiina's body. She didn't inherit any god's inheritance, nor did she eat any immortal medicine. Only the soul power in her body was a little thicker than before. This was very normal. After all, her soul power rank was increasing. There was nothing wrong with the strength of her soul power increasing as well. Wait, this is a little strange. When Lin Feng saw Hu Laiina earlier, he subconsciously thought that she was a soul sage. So in terms of the strength of her soul power, he also compared it to a soul sage. But the problem was that Hu Laiina wasn't a soul sage now. She was a soul emperor. Logically speaking, her soul power shouldn't have reached such a level. After discovering this suspicious point, Lin Feng immediately used his spiritual power to sense again. Soon, he found that Hu Laiina's soul power contained a trace of Bibi Dong's aura. With his research on soul power, Lin Feng quickly realized that this should be Bibi Dong using his own soul power to promote Hu Laiina's cultivation. This method was still okay. Based on the situation on the Dolua continent, this was a fast cultivation method without any side effects. But if one reached the level of a god, it wouldn't be without side effects. Because there was a trace of someone else's aura in your body, it was like a bomb buried in your body. Just like the sea god affinity, this thing might not seem like much in the short term, and even had great benefits. But when you really became a god, you would be controlled by others. While thinking about this, Lin Feng once again used his divine sense to invade Hu Laiina's clothes. At the same time, he used his soul power to invade her body and easily erased that trace of aura. To be honest, Lin Feng didn't know why he did this. Maybe it was because he was used to doing this recently, so he subconsciously did it. But then again, Hu Laiina was an incomparably charming beauty with a perfect figure. She was still very attractive. Furthermore, her personality was also very good. She dared to love and hate. The words that she said back then made Lin Feng reminisce a little. But at the moment, it wasn't a good time for him to look for Hu Laiina. Let's wait a little longer. When he becomes stronger, the entire Dolua continent will be under his control. At that time, Bibi Dong and Thousand Daos Lu won't be a threat. Thinking about this, Lin Feng didn't stay here for long. After using the 1000G ruler to strengthen Hu Liena's clothes, he left. In the blink of an eye, a week and a half passed. After 8 days of searching, Lin Feng finally found 2 suitable soul beasts. After that, he led the 2 of them and easily killed the 2 soul beasts. The day before yesterday, Ma Hongjun had successfully absorbed the 70,000-year soul ring, and his soul power had reached rank 72. As for Xiao Wu, she had also successfully absorbed the 90,000-year soul ring, and her soul power had also reached rank 82. In fact, absorbing the 90,000-year soul ring would only allow Xiao Wu to reach rank 81, but Xiao Wu still had an extra level of reward before. Now that she had broken through, it directly made up for it. Soul masters were like this. When one's soul power rank was low, an old soul ring could allow one's soul power rank to increase by a few ranks. Now that one had reached Soul Dolua's level, even a 90,000-year soul ring could only increase one's soul power by 1 rank. Previously, when Tang San absorbed the 100,000-year soul ring, his soul power only increased by 2 ranks, the same as Xiao Wu's. Roar, roar, roar. I'm rank 82 now. I'm as strong as third brother. Xiao Wu exclaimed happily after absorbing the soul ring. Not only did she obtain a soul ring, but she also obtained a skull from the 90,000-year soul beast. Because it was a complete set, she directly absorbed it, and her strength increased by a lot. As for Ma Hongjun, he was unlucky. Even a 70,000-year soul beast didn't produce a soul bone, so he could only be envious. Stop yelling. Let's return to Sea God's Island and continue the test. Lin Feng didn't waste any more time. He led the 2 of them back to Sea God's Island. Ever since his battle with Bibi Dong, Lin Feng realized that Bibi Dong was a little strange. His strength had increased greatly in a short period of time. This gave him a sense of urgency. Therefore, at this moment, he wanted to quickly pass a few more tests so that he could increase his strength completely. With this thought, Lin Feng led the 2 of them and flew. After 2 hours, the 3 of them landed near Sea God's Light. However, it was already night time, so the 3 of them weren't seen by the people climbing the stairs. Feng Ge, do you want me to call them over? Xiao Wu hurriedly asked. No need. I'm a little tired. Let's rest first. We'll talk tomorrow. Lin Feng waved his hand. During this period of time, Lin Feng had controlled dozens of avatars to search for soul beasts in the Star Do Great Forest. That was very draining on his spiritual power. Although he tried his best to balance work and rest, Lin Feng still felt sleepy. Therefore, after telling Xiao Wu about it, he didn't say anything else and went straight to a room to sleep. Tang San had asked Seahorse Dolua and the others to build these houses. After all, they would be coming to see God's light often in the future. Therefore, many houses were built under the stairs. Chapter 498. The next morning, Lin Feng came out of his room and gathered everyone together. Originally, he wanted everyone to rest for half a day before finding Bai Saishi to start the 5th test. However, he suddenly realized that Oscar had broken through to rank 70. He had just taken Xiao Wu and Fatty to obtain soul rings. Now that Oscar had broken through, he had to make another trip. However, this wasn't a big deal. In just 3 days, Lin Feng brought the rank 72 Oscar to Sea God's Island. Lin Feng gathered everyone again and said, "Now that you've all obtained your soul rings, rest for an hour and recover. We'll start the 5th test soon." "Yes, Feng Ge." Everyone answered excitedly. Even Xue Qinghe was no exception. After all, this test could increase one's strength quickly. Although it was a little tiring, it was worth it to increase one's strength. Xue Qinghe was now rank 79. He was only 1 rank away from Soul Dolua. He believed that it wouldn't take long for him to reach this rank. At this moment, everyone's strength was Tang San, rank 83 Sol Dolu. Xiao Wu, rank 82 Sol Dolu. Zhu Zhuqing, rank 75 Soul Sage. Dai Mubai, rank 75 Soul Sage. Ning Rongrong, rank 75 Soul Sage. Ma Hongjun, rank 73 Soul Sage. Oscar, rank 72 Soul Sage. After a year of tempering, their strength had made considerable progress, all of them crossing a great realm. This kind of speed was too fast. As for Lin Feng, of course, his growth was much more than that. Name: Lin Feng Martial Souls. 1000 Trickster Ruler, Immeasurable Flower Soul Power, rank 89 plus, Special Soul Skill, Avatar 1000 Trickster Ruler Soul Ring, Blood Shadow Shark King, 165,243 years, plus, Soul Skill, Spatial Shatter Immeasurable Flower Soul Ring, Snow Lotus, 100 million years, plus, Soul Skill, Life Bloom Ghosthead Predatory Spider, 100,000 year, plus, Soul Skill, Shadowbind, Armored Giant Bear, 100,000 year, plus, Soul Skill, Armored Demonic Bear Transformation Raging Flame Devil Monkey 100,000 years, plus, Soul Skill, Raging Flame Sea Netherworld Civet 100,000 year, plus, Soul Skill, Netherworld Body Lightning Falcon 100,000 year, plus, Soul Skill, Thunderbolt Strength Wind Dragon 100 million years, plus, Soul Skill, Martial Soul True Body Chinquan Blood Shadow Beasts 100 million years, plus, Soul Skill, Teleport Position Swap Soul Bone, Wind Dragon Left Leg Bone 100,000 year, plus, Soul Skill 1, Hathar Soul Skill 2, Wind Concealment Chinquan Blood Shadow Beast Skull, 100,000 years, plus, Soul Skill 1, Spatial Imprisonment Soul Skill 2, Blood Fiend Blood Shadow Shark King Right Leg Bone Year 165243 plus, Soul Skill 1, Space Travel Soul Skill 2, Berserk Experience, 8704175412. His experience had reached 8.7 billion. It wouldn't be long before he could get another million-year soul ring. Soon, the break time was over. Lin Feng activated Poseidon's light and Poseidon appeared in front of everyone. She held a god-bestowed soul ring in her hand and handed it to Oscar. Then, she looked at Lin Feng and asked, "What's wrong? Have you decided to start the 5th test?" "Yes." Lin Feng nodded. "Since that's the case, I'll start the 5th test now." Poseidon tapped her finger lightly as she finished speaking. Soon, a light screen appeared on everyone's body and the 5th test's information appeared. "Now that the 5th test has begun, I'm looking forward to seeing how quickly you pass it." With that, Poseidon didn't stay any longer and quickly left. On the other hand, the originally excited crowd's expression turned slightly serious. Ma Hongjun said bitterly, "This 5th test is too difficult. We have to challenge the Holy Pillar Protectors. That's a titled Doluo, the strongest person on the continent. I'm only a soul sage. How can I beat him?" "Fatty, you're doing the same?" "Me too. I'm also challenging a titled Doluo," Dai Mubai said. "Me too." Zhu Zhuqing nodded. "Take Chi is doing the same as us? But you're doing the 7th test." Ma Hongjun was slightly puzzled. From their point of view, the different grades of the exam should be assigned to different tests. Why was it the same now? At this moment, Xiao Wu said, "Our time limit is half a year, and we only have 10 chances. Is it the same for you guys?" "Our time limit is 1 year, and there's no limit to the number of times we can challenge," Dai Mubai said. Ma Hongjun was enlightened. "So that's how it is. I thought it was the same. I didn't expect it to be so restrictive." Oscar said, "Mine is different from yours. My test is to support the 4 of you and then help you succeed." Ning Rongrong said, "My test is similar to Xiao Ao's, but I'm restricted by my skills. I can't use my martial soul true body." Xiao Wu smiled. "Rongrong, if you're with me, just throw a few skills at me. I'll beat that titled Dolu. Unlike Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai, who were soul sages, Xiao Wu was truly strong after reaching the level of Soul Dolu. With her invincible golden body for 12 seconds, let alone beating up these holy pillar protectors, she could even defecate and pee on their heads. Yes, yes. When the time comes, we'll beat them up. Ning Rongrong nodded with a grin. After everyone finished speaking, they all looked at Tang San and Lin Feng. If the difficulty of the 6th Black Test and the 7th Pinnacle Test was already so high, then what about the 2 people in the 9th Sea God Test? What kind of test would they have? Everyone was very curious about this. Tang San coughed and said, "Your test is too easy. Mine is much harder than yours." "How hard? Tell us," everyone said expectantly. They looked like guests in a teahouse listening to a storyteller. "You only have to challenge 1 holy pillar protector, but I have to challenge 7. Also, there's a time limit during the challenge. As long as you challenge the first holy pillar protector, the time will start. If you don't succeed in all challenges within 3 days, you won't pass." Tang San's test didn't only have 1 chance. There was no limit to the number of challenges. As long as you could challenge all the Holy Pillar's protectors within 3 days, you would pass. Even so, when Tang San finished speaking, everyone had a shocked expression on their faces. This is too perverted, isn't it? I thought our test was already difficult enough. I didn't expect the hardest test to be here. Ma Hongjun sucked in a breath of cold air. At this moment, Xiao Wu asked, "Feng Gu, you're also in the 9th Sea God Test. It should be the same, right?" "More or less." Lin Feng smiled and said, "It's just that my time limit is a little tight. I only have 14 hours. Xiao Wu. Everyone. 14 hours. Wasn't this a little too tight? The 7 Saint Pillars were so far apart. Even if he used the wings of the sky to travel, it would still take him around 2 hours. Including the battles, recovery, rest, and so on, such a short time was not enough. Therefore, everyone was shocked by Lin Feng's hellish difficulty. "Why are you all looking at me like that? It's very simple." "It's not difficult," Lin Feng said calmly. Hearing this, everyone suddenly remembered that Lin Feng's soul skill could recover his soul power. It was almost like a perpetual motion machine. Moreover, Lin Feng's strength was ridiculously strong and unfathomable. Tang San wasn't his match at all. Under such circumstances, it shouldn't be difficult to challenge 7 people in 14 hours. Lin Feng continued, "This 5th test is not only easy for me. It's also very easy for you guys. Beating up Doloa is not a dream." How is that easy?" Ma Hongjun said. "If I challenge him directly, I won't win unless I have Rongrong or Xiao Ao to help me. Only then will I have a chance to win." During the Soul Master Alliance's monthly test, they had all challenged him. Generally speaking, they had the strength to fight someone 1 realm higher. They could even beat a weaker opponent. However, if the opponent was 2 realms higher, it would be a bit difficult. No matter how talented they were, in front of absolute strength, there was still a big gap. Moreover, the higher the rank of their soul power, the bigger the gap between realms. Xiao Wu's invincible golden body was too strong. That was why she could beat up Doloa. For Ma Hongjun, even if he had reached the Soul Doloa level, he couldn't beat a slightly stronger titled Dolu. Therefore, when he heard Lin Feng say that they could easily beat up Doloa, he was very puzzled. "The beating I'm talking about is not for you guys to beat up a fully recovered titled Dolu. It's for you guys to beat him up when he's injured or his soul power is mostly depleted. Think about it. I'll first beat up the Guardian of the Holy Pillar, then beat up Xiao San. His soul force should be pretty much depleted after 2 heavy blows. At this time, with Xiao Ao and Rongrong's buffs, as long as you guys continue to challenge him, you'll be able to beat him up easily." After Lin Feng finished speaking, everyone's eyes widened. "There's such a thing? But then again, they didn't seem to see any restrictions. They could freely choose the guardian to challenge. This way, as long as they followed Lin Feng's instructions, they would be able to complete the challenge very quickly. Tang San also said, "If that's the case, I can also hitch a ride with Feng Ge. Since that's the case, what are we waiting for? Let's hurry up and beat him up." Xiao Wu clenched her fists and said. Lin Feng said to Xueqinghe, "You can continue climbing the stairs here. The 5th test won't be of much help to you. And I feel that I'll be able to break through soon. I'll have to trouble you then." Xueqinghe nodded. In the eyes of Tang San and the others, Xueqinghe was currently rank 69 and was about to break through to Soul Sage. As for his true strength, only Lin Feng knew about it. "And do your best." Lin Feng smiled and encouraged him. Although the concept of luck was somewhat vague, Lin Feng still placed great importance on it. Right now, almost all of the people with the greatest fortune on the entire Doloa continent were by his side, and during this past year, nothing had happened. Lin Feng didn't know if there was a connection between the two, but there was a high probability that there was. Therefore, he was still concerned about Xueqinghe. There was no harm in building a good relationship with him. After that, without further delay, the group set off and flew towards the Holy Pillar. On the way there, Fatty, Dai Mubai, and the others explained the details of their test. In the end, Lin Feng learned that Zhu Zhuqing was going to challenge Sea Lady Dolo. Dai Mubai was going to challenge Sea Spear Doloa, Xiao Wu was going to challenge Seahorse Doloa, and finally, Ma Hongjun was going to challenge Sea Ghost Doloa. While flying in the air, Lin Feng suddenly said, "When the time comes, you guys can test it out and see if you can beat these titled Doloa with your full strength. If you can't, then follow my method. If you can, then pass directly." Lin Feng suddenly remembered that the rewards at the end of these tests would fluctuate. If they performed well in the tests, the rewards would be better. If they performed poorly or took a shortcut, then the rewards would be smaller. Therefore, for the sake of the rewards, it was better for them to give it a try themselves. Everyone had thought of the same thing. Now that Lin Feng had finished speaking, they had no objections and all agreed. Soon, the 8 of them arrived at the location of the first holy pillar. Seahorse Doloa. Since they were more familiar with Seahorse Doloa, they were the first to arrive. "Long time no see. Looks like all of you have improved quite a bit." The Seahorse Doloa immediately approached everyone with a smile on his face. None of them had passed the test yet, but it was only a matter of time before they would. Besides, all of them had gone through difficult tests. They were bound to achieve great things in the future. Seahorse Doloa had to build a good relationship with them. "Senior, long time no see." Tang San smiled. "We are here today for the 5th test." "I know about that. Are you sure you want to start the 5th test?" Seahorse Doloa asked. As the 5th test had just been announced, Seahorse Doloa was afraid that Tang San and the others would rush over on impulse. Therefore, he asked. "Of course," Xiao Wu said. "I will challenge you first." "That's right. Senior, I won't go easy on you later. Don't cry." "Hee, just don't cry later." Seahorse Doloa smiled. Obviously, he didn't take Xiao Wu's words to heart. Soon, he straightened his face and said, "Examinee Xiao Wu wants to challenge the Seahorse Pillar Guardian for the 5th test. During the test, Examinee Ning Rongrong and Examinee Oscar can assist you. You have 10 challenges left. Do you want to use one of them?" "Yes." Xiao Wu nodded immediately. "Since that's the case, please come up. During the test, I won't borrow the Seahorse Pillar's strength. I will only use my own strength for the test." As he spoke, Seahorse Doloa waved his hand at the Pillar Guardian beside him. His soul power surged out. In the next second, a red pillar of light shot into the sky. This meant that Xiao Wu's test was about to begin. At this moment, Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and Oscar arrived in front of Seahorse Doloa. They all looked calm. Xiao Wu had the invincible golden body. She was invincible from the start. Therefore, the three of them weren't worried about this test at all. Seahorse Dolua was smiling across them. He didn't seem to realize how serious the situation was. Chapter 499. Now, let the challenge begin. As he finished speaking, Seahorse Dolua also released his martial soul. Suddenly, a layer of grayish-white armor covered him, and a huge projection of a seahorse appeared behind him. At the same time, 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 5 black soul rings rose. Dolua's aura was released, causing the surrounding waves to rise by dozens of meters. Everyone was calm, and didn't seem nervous at all. Xiao Wu wasn't anxious at all. She smiled and clasped her hands together. "Elder, I'll offend you later." As she finished speaking, she immediately possessed her martial soul. As she ate Oscar's sausage, she activated her invincible golden body. At this moment, Ning Rongrong's enhancement was also applied to her. Xiao Wu's aura was very strong, and wasn't inferior to Seahorse Dolua's. In the next second, Xiao Wu's lips curled into a smile, and she teleported onto Seahorse Dolua's head. "Eat my 8 segments throw." As she muttered in her heart, Xiao Wu's first 6 soul rings lit up. She turned into an illusion, and her legs wrapped around Seahorse Dolua's body. At this moment, Seahorse Dolua reacted. His 8th soul ring lit up, and he wanted to rush her away. However, he was too slow. At this moment, Xiao Wu's first 8 segments throw had already been activated. Bam! Seahorse Dolua's body was smashed into the ground. His soul power was very chaotic, and he was so dizzy that he couldn't think. Under such circumstances, his 8th soul ring, which had just lit up, was extinguished. Everyone could already predict what would happen next. Xiao Wu's 8 segments throw had 8 segments. Normally, once her opponent ate the first segment, he or she wouldn't be able to dodge the other 7 segments. Not even Dolua, a titled battle pet warrior, could do anything. Xiao Wu even activated her invincible golden body just to be safe. Just like that, Seahorse Dolua fell to the ground, unable to move at all. Originally, Xiao Wu was confident that she could defeat this Seahorse Dolua if she used her invincible golden body. Now, with the buffs from Oscar and Ning Rongrong, her strength had more than tripled. She could even compete with Tang San when he went all out. Furthermore, Seahorse Dolua was completely unaware of Ning Rongrong's martial soul and soul skills, so it was no surprise that he would be beaten to a pulp. Perfect completion of the 5th of the 7 tests. Your soul power has increased by 1 rank, and the effects of your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd soul skills have doubled. After hearing this, Xiao Wu was stunned. Then, she pursed her lips and said, "The reward is too lousy. It would be great if the effects of my 4th soul skill were doubled." Xiao Wu's first 3 soul skills were Waist Bow, Charm, and Teleportation. Although they were all very useful, her 4th soul skill, Invincible Golden Body, was obviously more powerful than them. Therefore, she was a little depressed when she saw that her reward only included her first 3 soul skills. Double the effects of your 4th soul skill? Xiao Wu, what's your reward? Everyone was a little confused after hearing Xiao Wu's words. After hearing this, Xiao Wu immediately explained, "I'm rewarded with 1 rank of soul power, and the effects of my first 3 soul skills are doubled." That's not bad. If the effects of your soul skills are doubled, your 8 segments throw will be even more powerful in the future. Tang San nodded. Xiao Wu's self-created 8 segments throw was very useful for her first soul skill, Waist Bow. If it weren't for the strength of her waist, she wouldn't have been able to control strong opponents. That's what you say, but I still want to be invincible. Xiao Wu smiled and said, "As long as I can be invincible for a long time, I'm not afraid of anyone." Just as Xiao Wu was speaking, Seahorse Dolua woke up from his dizziness behind her. There was a look of disbelief on his face. He was a titled Dolua, but he had actually been defeated by a soul Dolua in just a few seconds? Although a soul master who could obtain 7 of the 7 tests couldn't be judged by common sense, he was still astonished by this situation. "Elder, please forgive me if I offended you just now." Xiao Wu giggled when she saw this. Oscar also passed a grilled sausage over and said, "Elder, this grilled sausage can help you recover quickly." Seahorse Dolois took the grilled sausage and ate it. After that, he waved his hand at Xiao Wu and said, "It's fine, it's fine. I should congratulate you on passing the test. Young soul masters these days are so strong. I'm still too old." "Senior, you must be joking. I was only able to win because I had the help of 2 people. If I didn't have the help of my 2 friends, it would be hard to say who would have won this battle." Xiao Wu immediately smiled and said. When she was in the Martial Soul Alliance, Xiao Wu was a department head for a period of time. Although it was only a small department that managed the warehouse, she often conversed with others. Right now, she had learned some conversational skills. On the other hand, Seahorse Dolois was even more shocked after hearing Xiao Wu's words. With the support of an auxiliary-type soul master, Huoyu Hao could beat him. Without the support of an auxiliary-type soul master, Huoyu Hao would be evenly matched with Soul Dolois' strength. Fortunately, Tang San said at this moment, "Elder, you should hurry up and recover. Feng Gu and I don't want to make an extra trip. We're ready to start the challenge." Just as Seahorse Dolois was about to speak, Xiao Wu said, "Don't worry, Feng Gu. I didn't use much strength just now. Elder should be able to recover very quickly." Seahorse Dolois. His heart was pierced even more painfully. He was a titled Dolois, but he was beaten by a soul Dolu. Furthermore, Xiao Wu had repeatedly exposed his scars. Seahorse Dolois was in a bad mood. The sausage in his mouth was no longer delicious. However, he still forced a smile and said, "That's right. This sausage is very effective. I think I'll be able to recover in about 5 minutes." Because he was beaten up at the beginning of the battle, he didn't use much of his soul power. He only needed to recover from his injuries. Just like that, everyone chatted and waited for 5 minutes to pass. During this time, Seahorse Dolois sat cross-legged and meditated to recover. At the beginning, everything was fine. Tang San and the others were discussing things related to the test. For example, how strong Sea Lady Dolois was, and what the order of the Guardians would be. Later on, they were discussing when the 6th test would start, or how long they would have to stay after the test was over. However, towards the end, Seahorse Dolois was horrified to find that this group of people were actually discussing when they would become gods. What kind of people were they? How could they have such thoughts? He really didn't know what to say. However, the 5 minutes passed quickly. Seahorse Dolois' injuries were all healed. However, there was a hint of respect in his eyes when he looked at everyone. When he noticed Tang San looking at him, Seahorse Dolois asked respectfully, "Are you ready to start the 5th test?" Seahorse Dolois immediately changed his attitude towards Lin Feng and Tang San because of the difference in level of the test. "That's right. I'm ready." Tang San nodded. When they were chatting, he had already agreed with Lin Feng that he would challenge them first. After the 7 Holy Pillar Guardians recovered, Lin Feng would challenge them. After all, Lin Feng only had 14 hours. It was too short. It was better to let Tang San challenge them first. At this time, Seahorse Dolois said, "Your test is a little special. After the test with me begins, within the next 3 days, you will have to defeat the 7 Holy Pillar Guardians one by one. If you exceed the time limit or fail to defeat all of them, you will fail the test. Of course, this is not a complete failure. Within a year, you will have another chance to challenge them." After that, Seahorse Dolois waved his right hand. The holy pillar behind him shone brightly. A golden pillar of light shot up into the sky and lit up the entire Sea God's Island. In the next second, the remaining 6 holy pillars also shot up into the sky with golden pillars of light. In the end, they gathered together and condensed into 36 huge balls of light. Seahorse Dolois said, These 36 balls of light represent the time you have left for the test. Every time a ball of light is extinguished, 2 hours will pass. When all the balls of light are extinguished, you will fail the test. The rules have been explained. The test officially begins. The seahorse Dolua immediately possessed his martial soul after he spoke. Tang San also summoned his blue-silver emperor. At the same time, all 8 of his soul rings appeared. Yellow, yellow, purple, black, 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 red. Tang San would have 300,000-year soul rings by now if the test didn't reward him with a soul ring's age. Even so, his 100,000-year soul ring was still very eye-catching. Dolua's heart skipped a beat. At the same time, because he had learned his lesson from the previous battle, he did not wait for Tang San to make the first move, and directly attacked first. Tang San also knew that time was of the essence. He didn't show any mercy. He immediately activated his 2 domains and enveloped Dolu. At the same time, his blue-silver emperor vines danced in the sky like snakes. They surged towards Dolua like an ocean. Dolua had just been enveloped by the 2 domains. The boundless killing intent caused his mind to waver, and his soul power to become chaotic. However, Dolua was still very strong. He immediately activated his martial soul true body. However, a blue-silver cage had already appeared around him. The blue-silver emperor vines in the sky also wrapped around him tightly. So tight. I can't break free. When he saw Tang San's martial soul Dolua, Dolua thought that his blue-silver emperor vines wouldn't be too difficult to break free. However, when the countless vines wrapped around him, he felt a deep sense of powerlessness. He couldn't move at all. The poison in the vines disrupted his soul power. He couldn't even use his soul skills properly. At this moment, Tang San's slightly red 5th soul ring started to shine. A huge blue-silver spear condensed in his hand. 5th soul skill, blue-silver tyrant spear. Tang San's soul ring was very special. Its age changed according to his strength. Right now, his 5th soul ring was 99,000 years old. It was only 1,000 years away from 100,000 years. Whether it was the reward from the test or his breakthrough to become a titled soul master, Dolua's 5th soul ring was bound to break through. Even now, his 5th soul skill was still very strong. Tang San shouted as he wielded his blue-silver tyrant spear. His entire body turned into an illusion as he stabbed his spear towards Dolu. Boom! The spear pierced through the vines and struck Dolua's armor. Sparks flew everywhere and a loud boom sounded. The seahorse Dolua was sent flying several hundred meters away by this immense force. He crashed into a nearby forest and lay there motionless. "Third brother, you're too cruel. He's been sent flying." Xiao Wu shouted when she saw this. "You're still talking about him." Lin Feng chuckled and said, "Little Three knows how to control his strength better than you do. He held back most of his strength in that attack just now. Otherwise, the seahorse Dolua would already be a corpse." Tang San's strength was comparable to a titled Soul Master Dolua at rank 97 or 98. Dolua was only at rank 93. Furthermore, he was weakened by the domain. The difference between the two was too great. It wouldn't be difficult to kill him instantly. Tang San nodded and said, "That's right. I held back a lot in the end, and only managed to send the seahorse Dolua flying. He's not moving now, and the main reason is that the poison has taken effect and knocked him out. I'll go and bring him back." With that said, Tang San flew into the forest and retrieved the vines. Then, he brought Dolua back. "Rongrong, help him recover," Tang San said. "Okay." Ning Rongrong nodded. She summoned the 9 treasures glazed pagoda at once and helped Dolua get rid of the negative effect. The seahorse Dolua only woke up after around 10 seconds. "Sir, are you alright?" Tang San asked with concern. To be honest, Tang San didn't expect Dolua to be so weak. In other words, he didn't know that he had improved so much in a year. He was too strong. Just the poison from his first soul skill was enough to knock out Doluo. This effect was too strong. On the other hand, the seahorse Doluo was extremely ashamed right now. He was a titled Doluo, but he had been completely thrashed by two soul Doluo. Furthermore, he hadn't been able to retaliate at all. He had been utterly humiliated, and he didn't know what to say. At this moment Lin Feng smiled. "All right, Xiao Ao, make some sausages for Sir. Then, you can continue to challenge him. I'll wait here for him to recover." "Okay." Oscar nodded. He immediately made some sausages and handed them to Doluo. "Thank you." The seahorse Doluo forced a smile onto his face as he accepted the sausage. "Feng Go, we'll take our leave then," Tang San said. Tang San was a little nervous about challenging 7 titled soul masters in 3 days. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to complete the task. However, he wasn't that nervous anymore after his battle with Doluo. "Go." Lin Feng said, "I'll start the challenge in 1 day. I hope that you'll have passed the 5th test by then." "We will," everyone replied. 1 day is enough for us to complete the challenge." With that, they didn't delay any longer. They quickly ran toward the second holy pillar. Chapter 500. While Lin Feng was waiting for Seahorse Doluo to recover, on the other side, Tang San and the others parted ways not long after. Tang San went to look for Starfish Doluo, Sea Illusion Doluo, and Sea Dragon Doluo on his own. He didn't need to challenge the others because they were the 3 protectors. Zhu Zhuqing, Ning Rongrong, and the others rushed towards Sea Ghost Doluo. Ma Hongjun was eager to fight against titled Doluo, and everyone agreed to his wish. Half an hour later, Ma Hongjun, who was supported by Oscar and Ning Rongrong, was incomparably powerful. His surging flames prevented Sea Ghost Doluo from getting close to him. In the end, he relied on his own strength to easily pass the 5th test. The reward for the 6th black test was obviously not as good as the 7th test. In the end, he was only rewarded with a rank 1 soul power, which was double the effect of his first soul skill. "Thank you for letting me win." Ma Hongjun cupped his hands excitedly. After all, this was titled Doluo. It was too hard to believe that he had lost to him. After a while, Ma Hongjun calmed down and continued with the others. They rushed towards Sea Spear Doluo. The next one was Dai Mubai's challenge. There was no suspense in this challenge. With the support of 2 auxiliary-type soul masters, Dai Mubai's strength had increased greatly. Normal titled Doluo was no match for him. Another half an hour later, Dai Mubai also passed the 5th test. The last one was Zhu Zhuqing. She was going to challenge Sea Girl Doluo. As expected, after half an hour, Zhu Zhuqing went all out and easily defeated Sea Girl Doluo. As for Ning Rongrong and Oscar, the 2 of them also passed the test at the same time as Zhu Zhuqing. The rewards for the 5th of the 7 top-notch tests were to increase one's soul power by 1 rank, and the effects of the first 3 soul skills were doubled. However, the rewards for the black rank were 2 less soul skill enhancements, and the soul power rank was increased. Thus, other than Tang San, Lin Feng, and Xue Qinghe, everyone's soul power had increased by 1 rank in just 1 day. This kind of rocket-like leveling speed could only be enjoyed in this kind of divine assessment. Just as everyone passed the test, and was about to go to Seahorse Doluo to look for Lin Feng, Tang San flew over. "Third brother, why are you here? Have you finished challenging Starfish, Sea Fantasy, and Sea Dragon Doluo?" Xiao Wu asked. "That's right." Tang San smiled and said, "Although those guardians are very strong, I used all my strength in order to finish the test faster. That's why I can come over so quickly." In fact, Tang San was quite modest. When he fought with these titled Doluo, he usually only fought for 1 or 2 minutes before he defeated them. The reason why they took so long was mainly because rushing over was more time-consuming. The distance between the Sea God's Island's holy pillars was quite far. They didn't have Lin Feng's speed, so they could only spend time on the road. Third brother, you came at a bad time. Take Chi just finished challenging Sea Girl. He needs some time to recover, Ning Rongrong said. It's okay. Give me 10 minutes and I'll be fully recovered, Sea Girl Dolua said. Normally, after everyone defeated these holy pillar guardians, Oscar would give them sausages to recover. Ning Rongrong would also use her soul skills to help. However, Sea Girl Dolua was a little special. After she was defeated, she directly ran into the sea and suddenly appeared. Furthermore, Sea Girl Dolua wasn't human. She was a half-human, half-beast mermaid. She belonged to a very special race. She had a very special innate ability, and that was the ability to read minds. This ability allowed her to take the initiative in battle. However, after Zhu Zhuqing was strengthened, his strength exceeded her imagination. In the end, even though Sea Girl Dolua had the ability to read minds, she was quickly defeated. Senior, let me help you recover, Ning Rongrong said. Oscar also took out a few sausages and said, Senior, eat my sausages. You'll recover in 5 minutes. No need. I can recover on my own, Sea Girl Dolua said with a smile. Mermaids were almost always young. Although Sea Girl Dolua was very old and close to 100 years old, she still looked like she was in her 20s. She was very beautiful. Senior, please recover. I'll wait. Tang San nodded. He had 3 days, and Tang San had already challenged 4 titled Dolu. Right now, there were only 3 left. No matter what, he would be able to pass today. He just happened to be a little tired from the journey. He turned his head and said, Rongrong, give me some soul power. I'll meditate to recover. And Xiao Ao, give me some sausages. Tang San had consumed a lot of soul power to defeat the 4 titled Dolua, especially the rank 95 Sea Dragon Dolu. He had planned to find Lin Feng to recover after defeating Dolu. It was the same since he had run into Ning Rongrong and the others. 10 minutes later, Tang San and Sea Girl Dolua had recovered. Okay, I've recovered. If you're ready, you can start the challenge. Sea Girl Dolua smiled at Tang San. As she spoke, she activated her talent skill, trying to pry into Tang San's mind. However, Sea Girl Dolua's ability hit a wall on Tang San's side. She could sense that there were 3 layers of protection on Tang San's body, which blocked her ability. The first layer of protection was the golden light of the Sea God, which was given to Tang San by the 9 trials of the Sea God. The Sea Dolua had already anticipated this, and she had used her innate skill to test Tang Wulin. However, the second and third layers surprised her. They were brought by Tang San himself. One was a layer of protection for his spiritual power, which was extremely thick. The other was a special force field. She had never seen such a force field before. She was very surprised. At this moment, Tang San frowned slightly. Senior, are you probing me? Tang San could sense a special soul force drifting around his body. If it wasn't out of respect, Tang San would have retaliated with a spiritual shock if his enemy was scanning him like this. Ahem. I'm just checking. Sea Girl Dolua was a little embarrassed. At the same time, she was very surprised. Her innate ability had been discovered. If Tang San was a titled Dolua, she wouldn't be too surprised. After all, it was normal for a titled Dolua to be discovered. However, Tang San was only a soul Dolua. She was surprised that he was discovered. Since Senior is ready, I'll start the challenge. Tang San didn't pursue the matter and spoke directly. Although he hadn't fully recovered, it wasn't a problem for him to deal with Sea Girl Dolua. After he finished speaking, Tang San summoned his martial soul and released his soul rings. In the next second, he didn't bother with pleasantries. He used his full strength. The blue-silver emperor in his hand turned into a sky full of snake shadows that surrounded Dolu. Lin Feng had taught Tang San and Xiao Wu since they were young that it was taboo to talk and recite one's moves during a battle. Unless it was to interfere with the opponent's words, it wouldn't be of any help to the battle. Therefore, Tang San didn't talk much during his battles over the years. He just did what he wanted to do. His martial soul took the lead. At the same time, Tang San instantly approached Sea-Girl Doluo and unleashed his dual domains. After a few battles, Tang San realized that unleashing his domain at the beginning was the most foolish thing to do. Unleashing it at the moment of an attack would maximize its effectiveness. Just like now. When the endless vines surrounded Doluo, he unleashed his domain. Instantly, Sea-Girl Doluo's mind went blank. She was affected by the boundless murderous aura. Her reaction paused for a moment, and even the soul skill that she was about to unleash stopped. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the spear in Tang San's hand appeared and instantly closed in. The tip of the blue-silver spear stabbed right in front of Sea-Girl Doluo's eyes. She was so shocked that her body stiffened. This kind of strength is too terrifying. She knew that Tang San was powerful. After all, he had defeated a few Holy Pillar Guardians so quickly. However, in Sea-Girl Doluo's mind, he should be the kind that could fight with a titled Doluo for a while and barely win in the end. But now, this kind of situation where she was killed in an instant shocked her. She didn't have the slightest chance to react. She didn't even have the time to unleash her soul skill before she was killed in an instant. The tip of the spear in front of her let her know that if Tang San wanted to, she would be a corpse. I've lost, the Sea Lady Doluo said with difficulty. Hearing this, Tang San immediately removed all the vines and scattered the spear. He cupped his hands and said, "Senior, thank you for letting me win." He had already met a few people who had the same look of disbelief as Sea-Girl Doluo. Facing this, Tang San was very calm. This was because after these few battles, he had become more familiar with his own strength. Previously, when he hit Sea-Horse Doluo, he couldn't fully control his strength. But now, he stopped at the last second. The improvement in this process was very huge. Let's go. Next stop is Sea-Spear Doluo. After speaking, Tang San led everyone and quickly left. Lin Feng gave them a day's time, but Tang San and the rest didn't want to finish in the last minute. They wanted to finish as early as possible. After all, the earlier they finished, the greater their improvement. This was Feng Ji's test for them. Just like this, the group quickly flew toward Sea-Spear Doluo. In the same place, Sea-Girl Doluo was still in a state of shock. The speed of the attack just now was too fast. She couldn't dodge it. This kind of strength was really shocking. Half an hour later, looking at Sea-Spear Doluo, who was also in shock, Tang San cupped his hands and said, "Senior, thank you for letting me win." After speaking, he turned around and shouted, "Last stop, Sea Ghost Doluo." The group continued their journey. Another half an hour later, looking at Sea Ghost Doluo, who was easily defeated by him, Tang San finally smiled. "Senior, thank you for letting me win." As soon as he finished speaking, the Sea God's voice rang in his mind. The fifth test of the Sea God's 9 tests. Challenge the 7 guardians of the Holy Pillars. You have passed the test perfectly in 6 hours. You have received 30% of the Sea God's affinity. Your current affinity is 75%. When the affinity reward was given out, Lin Feng had already appeared beside Tang San and blocked the Sea God's divine power. In the past 6 hours, Lin Feng naturally wouldn't just wait at Sea-Horse Doluo's side. Instead, he would walk around the Sea God's island. At the same time, he would use his mind power to check on Tang San and the rest every half an hour. This was to see when Tang San would finish the test. In fact, because the Sea God's island was protected by the Sea God's power, he couldn't use his mind power to check. However, now that Lin Feng had the light of the Sea God, he was immune to the Sea God's power and could use his mind power. Just like that, he sensed Tang San's final challenge and came over just in time. After Tang San's test ended, the 7 Holy Pillars' golden light disappeared. At the same time, the remaining 33 balls of light also disappeared. At this moment, all the guardians knew that Tang San had completed his challenge. This was especially true for the last challenger, Doluo. The shock on his face didn't dissipate for a long time. He really didn't expect that he would be the last to be challenged. How long had it been? 6 hours, right? He had already challenged all 7 holy pillar protectors? This was too terrifying. Feng Gu, I've completed the 5th test, Xiao Wu said happily. Seeing Lin Feng suddenly appear, everyone was already used to it. After all, a super genius like Lin Feng had mastered too many soul skills. It was very normal for him to use teleportation. It seems like you've all completed the 5th test. Lin Feng smiled and said, let's wait for 2 hours. When these holy pillar guardians recover from their injuries and soul power, I'll start my challenge. Since Lin Feng wanted to challenge, he naturally wanted to limit it and do it to the best of his ability. 30 minutes. His goal was 30 minutes. Of course, these 30 minutes weren't just for challenging one titled Doluo, but 7. Lin Feng had to challenge 7 titled Doluo in 30 minutes, including the time he had to travel. This was under the condition that Lin Feng's identity was restricted. Otherwise, if he went all out, he would be able to complete this challenge in 10 seconds. After all, these titled Doluo were too weak. He could defeat them in one move and then teleport to the next titled Doluo. 10 seconds were enough for him to repeat this process. Feng Gu, how long are you going to take? Ning Rongrong asked curiously. Tang San took 6 hours to complete the test. Lin Feng was stronger than all of them combined. Presumably, he would take less time. The main thing was that it was really interesting to see these people's shocked expressions because of Tang San's strength. In everyone's mind, Tang San was their good brother. When these people saw Tang San, they were shocked because they were shocked. This special feeling made them want to see how shocked these people would be if Lin Feng was the one who did it. Everyone had the same thought and looked at Lin Feng curiously. 30 minutes, Lin Feng said with a smile. Strong, Feng Gu. You're a real man. Ma Hongjun immediately gave him a thumbs up. Everyone was also full of praise. Feng Gu is amazing. Chapter 501. 30 minutes was actually not a very fast speed. Lin Feng took into account that he needed more time to gain experience, which was why he said this number. Otherwise, he could have said 10 minutes. Alright, you guys don't have to stay here anymore. Go back and continue climbing the stairs. Lin Feng said, when I'm done, we'll directly start the 6th test. Bibi Dong's strength had been increasing rapidly. This point had been suppressing Lin Feng, causing him to feel some psychological pressure. So now, Lin Feng wanted to finish the test as soon as possible. We're starting the 6th test immediately? That's too fast. Ma Hongjun said. After all, there was a gap in time between the previous tests. Now that 2 tests were consecutively, he was a little surprised. Xiao Wu said, that's nothing. I think it's pretty good. It's best if the 6th test is similar to the 5th test. That way, we might be able to complete 2 tests in a day. 2 tests in a day. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Ning Rongrong also laughed. Don't think so much. Let's go back and climb the stairs first, Lin Feng said. He waved his hand and quickly led everyone back to the ring-shaped sea filled with the light of the sea god. Lin Feng glanced and found that Xueqinghe had already reached the 288th step. It was extremely difficult for her to reach such a high place with her strength as a soul sage. Lin Feng remembered that the pressure in that place was almost a realm higher than her. His Highness is really strong. He's almost at the 300th step. He's not far from me, Xiao Wu praised. When she left previously, she was at the 340th step. Now that her strength had increased, she estimated that she could go a little further. Yes, His Highness is too strong. Oscar also laughed. But third brother is even stronger. He seems to be at the 480th step. I don't think I can reach this height in my lifetime. Let alone you, I can't go up either. I'm only at the 200th step. Dai Mubai laughed bitterly. I don't even have 200 floors, Ma Hongjun said with a sad face. Stop, stop. Lin Feng interrupted. Don't compare yourself to me here. You guys should make the best use of your time to recover. After I finish the test, the 6th test should begin. Hearing this, everyone didn't have time to talk nonsense, and they all went to meditate to recover. After all, they didn't have the slightest understanding of the 6th test, so it was better for them to face it in their best condition. Seeing this, Lin Feng didn't say anything else. He quickly left the crowd and rushed towards Seahorse Dolu. After seeing Lin Feng, Dolua immediately asked respectfully, "Are you ready to start the test?" Tang San's group had given them too many surprises, especially Tang San's strength. It could be said that it was terrifying, and the big brother of this group, Lin Feng, was obviously even stronger. Therefore, Seahorse Dolua treated Lin Feng with more respect than Tang San. There's no hurry. Some of the 7 guardians haven't recovered yet. Let's wait a little longer. Having said that, Lin Feng sat down with his legs crossed and closed his eyes. Seeing this, Seahorse Dolua didn't even have the courage to ask more questions. He also shut his mouth and waited quietly. To be honest, when Seahorse Dolua faced Lin Feng, he felt like he was facing Poseidon a long time ago. The psychological pressure was simply too great, and the Seahorse Dolua was starting to feel a little uneasy. However, he was a titled Dolua after all, and he quickly returned to normal as he tried his best to restrain himself, and entered meditation. After about an hour, Lin Feng suddenly opened his eyes and said, "Let's start the test." "Oh, okay." Seahorse Dolua was jolted awake and hurriedly said, "After the test officially begins, within the next 14 hours, you must defeat us 7 Holy Pillar Guardians one by one." If Seahorse Dolua was still reciting the rules when Lin Feng interrupted him. "Alright, you don't have to say any more. I know all of this. Let's start. I have to rush to the next test." "Yes." Seahorse Dolua wasn't unhappy at all. He nodded and said. After he finished speaking, he immediately waved his hand at the seahorse holy pillar behind him. In the next second, a golden pillar of light shot through the clouds. The golden light from the other 6 holy pillars also shot into the sky. Soon, 7 golden balls of light appeared in the sky. They represented the 14 hours limit. The test officially begins. Please. Seahorse Dolua cupped his hands and said. After he finished speaking, his martial soul and soul rings appeared. Evidently, he wanted to prevent Lin Feng from sneaking an attack. Please. Lin Feng also cupped his hands and said. Unlike Seahorse Dolua, Lin Feng didn't move at all. He didn't summon his martial soul or soul rings. This made Seahorse Dolua a little confused. Don't tell me that Lin Feng still thinks that the test hasn't started yet? Just as he was thinking about this, Lin Feng didn't waste any time. Instead, he threw a punch at him. On the other hand, Seahorse Dolua was still thinking that Lin Feng didn't have a martial soul or soul power. How strong could his punch be? However, in the next second, he was stunned. This was because Lin Feng, who was more than 40 meters away, appeared in front of him in an instant. His fist landed on his astonished face. Bam! The fist and the face collided, and a muffled sound could be heard. In the next instant, Seahorse Dolua's armored body was sent flying more than 100 meters away. He fell into the sea. How is this possible? There weren't any soul power undulations. He didn't use his martial soul or soul skills either. Lin Feng appeared in front of him in an instant. Then, he threw a punch at him. Given his speed, Seahorse Dolua didn't even have time to react before he was hit. How strong is Lin Feng? Dolua's martial soul? Dolua's titled martial soul? Or is he a titled martial soul master Dolua, who's above rank 95? In any case, Seahorse Doloa felt that Lin Feng's strength was infinitely higher. This was because he knew that even the rank 95C Dragon Doloa couldn't be so strong without using his martial soul or soul skills. Of course, he was still in the middle of the test. Seahorse Doloa couldn't afford to be distracted. As he thought, he activated his martial soul true body. He turned into a huge seahorse and floated to the surface of the sea. Even if Lin Feng's strength was beyond his imagination, Seahorse Doloa had to complete the test. He had to give it his all. However, when he floated to the surface of the sea, he didn't see Lin Feng at all. It was as if he had disappeared. Bam! Suddenly, there was another punch. Lin Feng flew into the sky and landed a punch on Seahorse Doloa. Even his massive martial soul true body was unable to withstand the punch, and he was completely dazed by it. The Seahorse Doloa's body crashed into the seawater once again, and huge waves surged into the air. To be honest, Seahorse Doloa's head was buzzing. He was sure that with Lin Feng's strength, he could easily defeat him. He activated his martial soul true body and unleashed his full strength. However, he still couldn't catch sight of Lin Feng. Lin Feng was too strong. However, Lin Feng didn't intend to defeat him. It was as if he was toying with him. Seahorse Doloa was furious. He straightened his body and unleashed his ninth soul skill. At this moment, the seawater around him started to churn. A blinding black light shone from Seahorse Doloa's body. Seahorse Doloa charged out of the sea with terrifying soul power undulations. He was covered by a black light barrier. He charged straight for Lin Feng. Seahorse Doloa's ninth soul skill was very powerful. It was both offensive and defensive. Although it drained a lot of soul power, it was the best choice in such an environment. On the other hand, Lin Feng wasn't flustered at all. He leaped into the air and flew several hundred meters into the air, easily dodging the Seahorse Doloa's attack. Where do you think you're going? However, Seahorse Doloa didn't give up. He followed Huoyuhao into the sky. However, Seahorse Doloa was a sea-type soul master. He was very strong in the sea. However, he was very weak in the sky. More than 300 meters in the air, Seahorse Doloa had lost most of the seawater. Only the black light barrier around his body was still strong. He roared furiously and swung his tail at Lin Feng. Bam! The tail hit Lin Feng, making a crisp sound. However, Lin Feng wasn't sent flying. Instead, Seahorse Doloa was shocked to find that Lin Feng had grabbed his tail single-handedly. He had used all his strength to attack Huoyuhao's tail. Even a titled soul master like Doloa wouldn't dare to take it head-on. However, Lin Feng was able to grab it single-handedly. His strength scared Seahorse Doloa silly. He froze in the air. He didn't know what to do next. However, Lin Feng didn't stop. He grabbed Seahorse Doloa's body and slammed it into the ground. Lin Feng knew that everyone had to fight for a few minutes. He wasn't going to end the fight quickly. Beating Seahorse Doloa up was the best choice. As for pretending to spar, there was no need for that. Over at the Martial Soul Alliance, Lin Feng was using Thanos' identity to spar. When he was teaching Tang San and Xiao Wu, he had to feed them moves. That was why he pretended to be evenly matched. When it came to feeding moves, Lin Feng would only feed moves to people he was familiar with. As for Seahorse Doloa and the other Holy Pillar protectors, Lin Feng didn't even know them. He couldn't be bothered to pretend. He would just beat them up. Furthermore, doing this would let them know how strong he was. If he wanted to subdue them in the future, it would be a good foundation for them to accept him wholeheartedly. Just like that, Lin Feng beat Seahorse Doloa up for about 3 minutes. He gave Seahorse Doloa some hope every time. Seahorse Doloa would retaliate, but he would still be punched or kicked away by Lin Feng. After the last punch, Seahorse Doloa was finally exhausted. He wouldn't be able to fight for a while. Seeing this, Lin Feng didn't continue to beat Seahorse Doloa up. Instead, he cupped his hands and said, "Thank you for letting me win." After saying that, He didn't even give Seahorse Doloa a chance to express his feeling of being beaten up. He immediately left and went straight for the second holy pillar protector. Just like that, half an hour passed. Lin Feng looked at Seahorse Doloa, who had been beaten black and blue. He chuckled and said, "Thank you for letting me win." In the next second, the sea god's voice rang out. The fifth test of the sea god's 9 tests. Challenge the 7 holy pillar protectors. You have passed the test in half an hour. You have obtained 40% affinity with the sea god. Your current affinity with the sea god is 90%. Just like before, Lin Feng isolated all the divine power that was descending upon him. At this moment, as the golden light above the sea god's island disappeared, all the protectors were stunned. Seahorse Doloa, in particular, couldn't hide the shock in his eyes even though his face was black and blue. Tang San had finished the 5th test in 6 hours. That was enough to shock everyone. Even Positi couldn't help but raise her eyebrows. But now, in just half an hour, Lin Feng had succeeded. Everyone was stunned by this speed. Even Bai Sai she was shocked. This was because she knew that someone who could challenge 7 titled Doloa in half an hour was simply too frightening. He had to be at least rank 97, or even rank 98. Lin Feng was so young. It was unheard of for him to have such strength. After the shock, Positi didn't waste any time. She left the sea god's temple and hurried over to Lin Feng. At the same time, Lin Feng had returned to the Ringed Sea. Feng Go is amazing. He said he would finish in half an hour and he did it in half an hour. Amazing! Ma Hongjun flattered Su Ping at once. Oscar didn't want to be left behind. Feng Go must have beaten up the titled battle pet warriors Dolu. None of them could have defeated Feng Go. Let's not talk about that. Lin Feng wasn't moved. He said directly, "The great priest should be here soon. Have you recovered?" Su Ping had only beaten up a bunch of weaker titled battle pet warriors. That was not worth mentioning. Seahorse Doloa was the only one who was slightly stronger. He was as strong as Shadow Wheel Dolu. Therefore, Lin Feng had beaten him up the most. Of course. Xiao Wu smiled. "I think I can climb up to the 350th floor in one breath." Ning Rongrong patted her chest. "With my 9 treasures exquisite pagoda, they will be fully recovered in 10 minutes. Half an hour won't be needed." "I know how powerful you are." Lin Feng smiled helplessly. As soon as he finished speaking, Bai Saishi appeared in front of everyone. "First of all, congratulations on passing the 5th test. Also, I didn't expect you to pass the 5th test so quickly, especially Lin Feng. He finished in half an hour. What a surprise." Positi had already been shocked on the way there. She was able to speak normally. "You flatter us, High Priest." Lin Feng cupped his fists with a smile. Positi chuckled. "Now that you have passed the 5th test, how long are you going to rest before you start the 6th test?" "No need to rest. Let's start now," Lin Feng said calmly. Chapter 502. We're starting now? Positi was slightly surprised. After all, they had been given time to rest. It was surprising that they had to continue the test immediately. "That's right. Let's start." Lin Feng nodded again. "If that's the case, I won't stop you. The 6th test officially begins." As Bai Saishi's voice fell, all sorts of lights bloomed. Everyone received the content of the 6th test. Ma Hongjun said excitedly, "This is my last test. As long as I finish the test, I can keep climbing the stairs." Climbing the stairs was a great help to him. It could condense his soul power and increase the speed of his soul power. It was a good place to climb. Damn! It's so difficult. I feel like it's impossible. Oscar suddenly exclaimed. Ma Hongjun was also surprised. He said, "Fighting against the head priest and holding on for half an hour? That's too difficult." "What are you afraid of?" Xiao Wu said, "It's not like you're alone. We're going to hold on for half an hour. That's right. Everyone's sixth test was to work together and hold on for half an hour against Positi. In everyone's mind, Baisaichi's strength was comparable to Lord Mia's. Under such circumstances, everyone was a little unsure of what to do. At this time, Tang San said, excluding Feng Gu, it's just the 7 of us. Ning Rongrong said, that's true. The 7 of us have to hold on for half an hour against the head priest. Then, she looked at Lin Feng curiously. Feng Gu, what's your 6th test? Why aren't you with us? As soon as she said that, everyone looked over. They were also very curious about this question. However, before Lin Feng could speak, Positi said, Lin Feng's 6th test is to fight me alone and hold on for half an hour against me. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone's eyes widened in shock. Although Lin Feng was strong, in the eyes of Tang San and the others, it was obvious that he was no match for Mr. Destroy. He was at least 2 or 3 levels lower. But now, he had to hold out against Baisaichi alone for the time it takes to burn an incense stick. This was too difficult. It can't be. How can Feng Gu pass such a difficult test? Xiao Wu asked worriedly. Poseidon quickly said, I haven't finished yet. You will not be facing me at my best. In the 6th test, I can't use the power of the sea or the temple. I can't use my territory either. I can only rely on myself. Also, I can't use my martial soul true body or my 8th and 9th soul skills. The requirements for the test are also very lax. After 5 minutes, as long as one of you is still standing, you will pass the test. Of course, because of the difficulty of the test, you only have one chance to challenge me. The time limit is 1 week. You must choose to challenge me within a week. Otherwise, you will fail. Although Positi was at rank 99, and could even reach the demigod level with the help of the Sea God's Island, with so many restrictions, his power would be reduced by at least 2 levels. This meant that under these restrictions, Positi's power would be equivalent to Doloa, who was at rank 98. Xiao Wu was worried because she thought that they would have to face Positi at his best. However, with their current power, they were nothing in front of Tang San and the others. They didn't even need to use a martial soul fusion skill or a 7-man combination skill. They could just fight on their own. With the help of Ning Rongrong and Oscar, they would be able to hold on for half an hour. If they used a combination skill or a martial soul fusion skill, they might be able to defeat Positi. Therefore, when they heard Baisaichi's words, they all relaxed. This scene confused Positi. She was going to fight personally. Even if there were many restrictions, she was still very strong. Did they think that they could win with just a few soul sages and soul Doloa? As she thought about it, she said, although I have many restrictions, I can still defeat the 7 holy pillar protectors. You have to be careful. Ma Hongjun said proudly, thank you for the reminder, senior. However, the 6th test is too easy for us. We can pass it immediately. Ouch. Before he could finish his sentence, Dai Mubai gave him a knock on the head. Fatty, will you die if you talk less? Look at you. Positi was speechless. As the great consecrator of the Sea God's Island, Positi hadn't fought in a long time. Because she hadn't fought in so many years, there were very few rumors about her in the outside world. This group of youngsters probably hadn't heard of her power, so they looked down on her. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. At this moment Lin Feng said, stop chattering. We've rested for so long. Let's start the challenge. Feng Gu is right. Let's get ready and start the challenge. Tang San nodded. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed. They stopped laughing and became serious. As for Positi, she didn't know what to say. This group of youngsters didn't take her seriously, especially Lin Feng. Even if he fought her alone, he wasn't nervous at all. However, she still reminded them, are you sure you don't want to recover? Do you want to start the 6th test now? After all, this group of youngsters had just challenged the Holy Pillar Protectors. Positi felt that they hadn't fully recovered yet. Yes, let's start now, Tang San confirmed again. Since that's the case, you can choose a place to challenge. As long as it's on the Sea God's Island, anywhere is fine. Positi didn't try to persuade them anymore. Let's do it here, Tang San said with a smile. The foot of the Sea God's mountain is very spacious. It's enough for us to fight. The circular sea surrounded a large area deep in the mountain. Although there were a few houses built on the empty land, it wouldn't affect the battle at all. Okay. Positi took out an incense stick and said, I'll light it now. When the incense stick burns out, if any of you are still standing, you'll pass this test. Hearing this, Tang San didn't say much. He shouted, Retreat! Distance yourselves. As soon as he finished speaking, the 7 of them tacitly ate the sausages that Oscar had prepared in advance and flew back. Seeing this, Positi didn't say much. She lit the incense stick and stuck it into the ground. After looking at Lin Feng, she flew into the air and rushed towards Tang San and the others. As she flew in the air, she summoned her martial soul and soul rings. A huge aura directly pressed down on Tang San and the others. What a strong aura! Fortunately, there are many restrictions. Otherwise, this test would be difficult. Xiao Wu said with a relaxed smile. Yes, this aura is too strong. However, if they can only use the first 6 soul skills, they shouldn't be a match for us. Oscar asked, Third brother, how do we fight later? How else can we fight? The corner of Tang San's mouth curled up. Let seniors see our martial soul fusion skill. Okay. Ma Hongjun laughed. I haven't used my fusion skill for a long time. Fortunately, I've been practicing and haven't neglected it. Today, we'll let the seniors see how powerful we are. After he said this, Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing leaned against each other. Their martial soul fusion skill was called the 9-colored blessing. After using it, they would receive 5 times the enhancement from Ning Rongrong's soul skills. This would increase their overall strength by more than 5 times. Furthermore, their attacks would have a sharpening effect, which was very powerful. After using it, Zhu Zhuqing's strength should be comparable to Dolua's at rank 95. Ning Rongrong was slightly weaker, but she was also at rank 91. On the other side, Ma Hongjun and Dai Mubai leaned against each other. Their martial soul fusion skill was called the Flaming White Tiger. After using it, their martial souls would be directly revealed. The effect was several times stronger than their martial soul true bodies. 2 white tigers that were 20 meters long and covered in flames stood in the air. They were very powerful. Then there were Xiao Wu and Tang San. Their martial soul fusion skill was called Rapid Movement. From the name, it was obvious that it was mainly used to increase one's speed. After using it, their speed would increase by 10 times. It was very powerful. Of course, this was only the main effect. The secondary effect was to double the combined strength of both of them. Under such circumstances, Xiao Wu's strength was comparable to Dolua's, who was at rank 96. Tang San was even more powerful. He was almost at rank 98. Finally, there was Oscar. Originally, no one had used martial soul fusion with him. The main reason was that no one else could withstand 2 martial soul fusion skills at the same time. However, after Tang San's strength had increased, his endurance had become very strong. After completing his martial soul fusion skill with Xiao Wu, he performed another martial soul fusion with Oscar. Their martial soul fusion skill was called Amplification Zone. It could increase the strength of an open space with a radius of 100 meters. In this open space, the attack power of all teammates would be increased. At the same time, they would add a layer of protection to their teammates. This protection could resist attacks. At the same time, it could reflect some of the attacks. It was very powerful. In an instant, Tang San's team of 7 unleashed their full strength. They exuded a strong aura and waited for Bai Saishi to attack. However, Bai Saishi, who everyone was waiting for, stopped in midair. She had a look of shock on her face. What are all these? How did everyone's strength increase by several times in an instant? Under such circumstances, Baisaishi felt that she couldn't defeat any one of them within the time it took for an incense to burn, let alone defeat all 7 of them at the same time. At this moment, she didn't even know what had happened to the 7 of them. Martial soul fusion skill? It didn't seem like it. Martial soul fusion skills were very rare. They required a very high level of martial soul fusion. These 7 people's strength had increased tremendously. Obviously not. However, a martial soul fusion skill was the result of 2 soul masters working together. How did everyone become stronger? Obviously, this wasn't a martial soul fusion skill. But if it wasn't, what was it? The skill that Tang San's team used was too high-end. It required a very high level of control over one's soul power and systematic martial soul fusion skill training. Now, they were able to enhance their martial soul fusion skill at the same time. It was the result of several years of practice. It was really rare. Therefore, Baisaishi couldn't imagine what had happened to make Tang San's team so powerful. Third brother, why isn't she coming over? I saw that the incense has already started burning, Xiao Wu asked doubtfully. I don't know. Maybe she's observing us. Tang San said, everyone, don't take the initiative to attack. Just defend. Because Baisaishi suddenly stopped moving, everyone's battle plan was disrupted. But they knew that as long as they defended well, they could pass the 6th test. Yes. Everyone nodded in response. As for Baisaishi, after realizing that she couldn't understand their situation, she didn't think too much and quickly attacked. After all, they were still in the middle of the test. If she continued to be in a daze, she would be considered to be going easy on them and would be punished. Therefore, in order to avoid punishment, she had to attack quickly. Take Qi Xiao Wu Fatty attack. The rest of you defend, Tang San quickly ordered. In an instant, the 3 of them rushed out and intercepted Baisaishi. The rest stayed where they were and didn't rush to follow. The 4 of them exchanged blows and Baisaishi was easily stopped by the 3 of them. Very good. Your strength is beyond my imagination, Baisaishi said. Now you have 2 choices. First, I admit defeat and you will get the basic reward. Second, I remove some of the restrictions. You can use your 7th and 8th soul skills. In this case, if you can hold on for half an hour, the reward will be greatly increased. According to the current situation, no matter how experienced Baisaishi was, she was limited by her strength. She had no chance of winning, which was why she said such words. Hearing this, Xiao Wu and the rest stopped attacking and retreated to Tang San's side. Baisaishi didn't chase after them. She just stood quietly in the air. Third brother, what's your choice? Everyone looked at Tang San and asked. Hearing this, Tang San pondered and said, she hasn't used her 7th and 8th soul skills yet. Under such circumstances, she's already evenly matched with the 3 of you. If she removes some of the restrictions, her strength will at least double. According to the current situation, if we all attack her together, we should be able to deal with her doubled strength. Therefore, my choice is the second choice. Senior, we choose the second choice. After Tang San said this, he didn't even discuss it with the rest. Xiao Wu and the rest didn't say anything because they believed that Tang San would make the right choice. Very good. Baisaishi smiled and said, since that's the case, all of you better be prepared. I won't show any mercy later. Although she couldn't use her 9th soul skill, her martial soul true body and 8th soul skill were enough to double her strength. Coupled with her 100 years of fighting experience, even if she faced Tang San and the rest, Baisaishi was confident of winning. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.